on this day for Motorcycle Awareness Month. One thing I can say for everyone to just be vigilant as far as when you see motorcycles on the road, because at the end of the day, we all are human beings. We're brothers and sisters. Some club members we may not know, but also at the end of the day, we all are brothers and sisters, and we all have families to go home to as well. So thank you guys for inviting us to this council meeting. I appreciate it.
And one more thing before Mayor goes on. Earlier, for those of you that missed, when we were gathered outside, Dad, Reverend Fields, offered a bike blessing and prayer outside for everyone that was present. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Fields. Next on the agenda is a proclamation for National Cities, Towns, and Villages Month. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Before I read the proclamation, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge my council peers and the town staff, whom I affectionately refer to as the magic behind the curtain, because together, through our combined and collective efforts and dedication, we have made Dumfries a successful, thriving community, and I want to celebrate this moment together, and I look forward to continue working with you all. National Cities, Town, and Village Month. Whereas the National League of Cities was founded in 1924 in Lawrence, Kansas, as the American Municipal Association by State Municipal League, seeking more coordination and national representation as cities, towns, and villages expanded rapidly. And whereas the National League of Cities is celebrating its historic 100th anniversary this year, making a century of dedicated service and advocacy for municipal governments across the nation. And whereas Nonpartisan National League of Cities is the oldest and largest organization representing municipal governments throughout the United States, representing the interests of more than 19,000 cities, towns, and villages across the country. And whereas the National League of Cities works in partnership with 49 state municipal leagues across the country to strengthen local leadership, drive innovation, and influence the federal policies that impact local programs and operations. And whereas the voice of cities, towns, and villages in Washington, D.C., the National League of Cities has successfully championed federal legislative solutions that support municipalities, has worked closely with Congress and the executive branch to educate policymakers on the realities of local implementation. And whereas the town of Dumfries is a proud member of the National League of Cities and has benefited from the organization's research, technical expertise, federal advocacy, and opportunities to learn from other local governments. And whereas local governments are the bedrock of American democracy, providing 336 million residents with the most accountable, responsive, inclusive, ethical, and transparent government in the world. And whereas from the nation's smallest villages to the largest cities, Americans' local governments have been essential in transforming the United States of America into the greatest, most influential nation in world history. And whereas Town of Dumfries was first incorporated in 1749, and is proudly served today by the Town of Dumfries Town Council and a municipal workforce of 53 dedicated public servants. And this is Public Service Recognition Week. Whereas in 2024, the Town of Dumfries is also celebrating its 275th anniversary, we proudly recognizing and honoring its heritage as the oldest continuously chartered town in Virginia. Now, therefore, the Dumfries Town Council does hereby proclaim the month of May 24 as National Cities, Town, and Village Month, in celebration of America's local governments, the National League of Cities' historic 100th anniversary, and the Town of Dumfries' 275th anniversary. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Town of Dumfries to be affixed the 7th day of May, 2024, signed by the mayor by order of Dumfries Town Council. Thank you.
Next is about Mental Health Awareness Month, whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being. Whereas all Americans face challenges in life that it can impact their mental health, including ongoing efforts from the pandemic, economic stress, and social changes. Whereas practicing good mental health is crucial to achieving a high quality of life with practical tools available to all people to improve their mental health and increase their resilience. And whereas mental health conditions are real and they're prevalent in our nation, with 1 in 5 adults in the United States experiencing a mental health condition in any given year. And whereas the stigma associated with mental health disorders often prevents individuals from seeking help due to fear of discrimination and judgment. And whereas promoting awareness about mental health and reducing the stigma surrounding mental health disorders can lead to more people seeking help and support. And whereas the town of Dumfries is committed to promoting healthy eating and active living principles, supporting not only physical wellness, but also a robust mental health. And whereas the Move with the Mayor Challenge during Mental Health Awareness Month begins to encourage physical activity and social connections, both of which are vital for improving mental health and community well-being. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Dumfries Town Council, presented to Jen Childress, Director of Programs at the National Forum for Heart Disease and Stroke Prevention, that May is officially recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month here in the town of Dumfries. This proclamation acknowledged the vital work of the National Forum of Heart Disease and Stroke Prevention in advancing public health and wellness and coordinating communities across America to move with their mayors. Be it further proclaimed that the town of Dumfries encourages all residents to participate in the Move with the Mayor Challenge to enhance both physical and mental health, to strengthen community ties, and to raise awareness about the importance of mental well-being. Signed by order of the council, Mayor Derek R. Wood. Ms. Jen, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mayor Wood and Council. We're delighted to have Dumfries be a part of the Move with the Mayor initiative and are excited by all the energy and engagement already surrounding the involvement. Mayor Wood has posted daily on social media, encouraging community members to be active, to be mindful for mental health, and to really promote engaging the entire community and easy to do activities that meet people with where they're at. And so excited for your May 11th yoga session, among others. So thank you so much, Mayor Wood, and the entire Dumfries community. We look forward to cheering you on.
Thank you. Next is a proclamation for Small Business Month. It says, whereas Small Business Month is celebrated every May, every year as a special tribute to small businesses, their courage, community efforts, and hard work. And where Small Business Month is commemorated annually by the United States Chamber of Commerce and builds off of Small Business Week, celebrated every year by the U.S. Small Business Administration. And where small businesses are the backbone of the United States economy, as there are 31 million small businesses in the United States who employ and support the livelihood of millions of Americans. Currently, there are 390 licensed small businesses here in the town of Dumfries. And during the month of May, the town of Dumfries will hold special meetings and activities to support local small businesses and residents and encourage to support our local small business. Now, therefore, the Dumfries Town Council does hereby proclaim the month of May Small Business Month. Signed by order of the council, Mayor Derek R. Wood.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for approving the proclamation. Here in the town of Dumfries during Small Business Month, we will conduct a survey of businesses for the comprehensive plan update and for targeted service delivery. We will establish a town business directory for the more than 390 businesses in the town of Dumfries. We will continue distribution of the business resource guide. We will complete and distribute a plan and permit guide. We will conduct a training session, hopefully with the Mason Small Business Development Center, host a business roundtable, and of course, we invite the business community to celebrate the 275th Charter Day and participate in the festivities this weekend. Lastly, there will be another job fair for the Rose tomorrow in the community center from 10 to 4 p.m. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the approval of our April the 16th, 2024 Town Council minute meetings.
Ms. Mayor, I move we approve the minutes.
Second, Mayor.
Okay, it's been second. A motion and second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, call for the question, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Peterson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pete,
Absolutely.
Councilmember Fields,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Miles,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Wood.
Yes.
Motion's passed. Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda is citizen comment period. Madam Clerk, is there any citizens signed up?
Yes, we have 11 people signed up to speak.
Okay. So reminded, when you come up to the microphone, you have a timer in front of you. State your name and your address for the record, and you can see the timer behind me. Madam Clerk, you can call the names.
First person is Jerome Jacobs.
The Honorable Derek Wood and Town Council. My name is Jerome Jacobs. I live at 17866 Lyda Lane, Prince William Estate. I'm here with many residents that live in Prince William Estate that's mean and mad because of what's getting ready to happen to our community. But we're here, we're not mad with the council or the mayor. We're here to get your help and support with our problem. So for a long time, the Harbor Reserve has been on the record, but no one in Prince William County State knew about it. It's been there for a long time. But most recently, that piece of land that Prince William County owned was bought by Harbor Reserve. And they want to put 150 townhomes on this particular property. Now, we're trying to figure out how did the easement come through Prince William Estate on EB Drive and Lyda Lane. Now, someone had to go on that property and look at it and buy it. They didn't fly over with a helicopter, so yeah, that's what I want, but we can't get to it. So we're trying to find out where was the first easement for that property, where did it go and come in? And the manager, city manager that left, everyone is putting on the city manager that left. Everything I have is on the city manager. And we just cannot understand how one person, a city manager, would come here and make a big decision and approving for homes to be destroyed, for a roadway to come through on Lyda and EB Drive. It just don't make any sense. And so what we are here for is to find out where was the original interest to that particular property. Our streets can't handle it. It says 1,300 to 13 to 1,400 cars daily. Oh my goodness, that scared everyone. And none of these residents knew about this. Now I know we had a COVID time and everyone worked from home, but some type of hearing of some kind of permit, these people should have known something that what's going to happen. Some of these people didn't know it until 2 weeks ago, what was going to happen to their community. And so we're asking you, what can you do for us? Because it's going to be a nightmare. Prince William County is going to take the tax from that area, but Dumfries is controlled by Prince William State. So we're going to have to pay taxes for the roads that they use to come out. The roads are not wide enough. They said it's supposed to be 36 feet wide for the roads for them to even do that. Our streets read 32, 32, 33. So it's not even 36 feet. So somewhere in the planning, and like I said, this gentleman that did it and left, and I just don't understand how Dumfries approved this. It says Town of Dumfries filtration plan
Sure.
was approved
Thank you,
on
Mr. Jacobs.
June 6, 2022. So we need your help.
Madam Clerk.
Next person is James Neal.
Good evening. My name is James Neal. I live in Prince William Estates, 4160 EB Drive. I appreciate this time with the council this evening and really appreciate the time that's been available tomorrow evening for more discussion and information sharing on this project. It was telling to me to read the last paragraph in the summary of the proposed townhouse development that was distributed this evening, where the notation was made that community engagement and communications regarding the site plan are unknown. Currently, town staff does not have any documentation regarding community engagement. That was not a good idea. It seems to me that since our government officials are dedicated to the well-being of the citizens of the community and interested in that element of their responsibility more than anything else, that it's a good idea for council members to note this large degree of community involvement that's upon us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Madam Clerk.
Next person is Jerome Jacobs. Luther Patton. I think this person is Nelson Grander.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And thanks for the green team here that show up today, because that make me feel good that we're fighting for something good. We know that we share our thought, and we're not doing it for us. We're doing it for them, for our kids. They are the one who's coming behind us. So the whole thing is that we just find out about this project that we were not aware, and now they say that it's too late. But right here we have few members that we have the hope that something's going to be done about it after all our concern. And like the other day, I got home and I saw all those trees down behind my house. I didn't know about it. So, and then I saw these squirrel looking for their nests, looking for their houses. And then I said, man, what happened now? And that's how I see everyone here, that they are coming to our house. Not tearing our house away, but somehow affecting our neighbor. Like my friends say, that the road is not wide enough. Did we thought about that? Did we thought about going into a neighbor and just come up and say, you know what? I want to start making those changes in the neighborhood. We got to ask those neighbors. We know there are people living there. And as at the beginning of every time to vote or pick up, like members like this, they all come into our house, knocking doors, looking for vote, looking for what we think about or what changes should we make. But in this case, none of them came to our house. No one came in our house and said, hey, guess what? We have this plan. I know it's gonna be in front of your house. What you think about it? No, none of them, because it's not time of election. They all got what they wanted, and now that's it. Let's wait for 4 years, and let's go and knock doors back again. That's what they do. So that's why we are concerned is about like what's gonna happen after all these projects done. Do we know what the consequence is gonna be? Like the other day, my basement got flooded. My friend, he got his basement got flooded. We started emailing our Congress. I got like 10 emails, sent email to the townhouse. None of them replied because what they say, oh, it's COVID time. Oh, no, we can't pick up the phone because we got no one to answer the phone. So what happened? Nothing. We start sending picture. Hey, guess what? The creek haven't been given good maintenance. There are trees all over the creek, blocking the water and all that. And guess what? They say, oh, we gave maintenance, but when? When did it get maintenance? There's no record. So, and these are the kind of things that kind of worry, like what's going to happen after this project start, like we start getting all those sewer lines. Where are those sewer lines going to go? Where am I going to park my car if the street is not wide enough? There's a car on my left, there's a car on my right. So where is the other 2 lanes going to go? Our kids, are they going to be able to run on the street? Are they going to be able to play? No.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Grandin. Madam Clerk.
Amy Tubbs.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I didn't have green, but I'm part of the green group. My name is Amy Chubs, and I live at 4051 Dominion Drive in Prince William Estates, where I've lived over for 30 years with my husband. And we just wanted to come and get on record our concerns about what's been discussed before us. Our main concern of this planned community is not being aware of it until a few weeks ago when we saw all the trees knocked down when we were taking our walk. That's pretty much our main concern. The other concerns are great also. We're greatly concerned about the increased traffic that might happen because this is, again, we don't know if this will happen as far as the road coming into Prince William Estates, but if this road comes in where all the markings are, marked for misutility and whatnot, we have problems getting out of our neighborhood as it is already. Sometimes we sit through a light to just make a left turn. Sometimes we sit on Grand Park Road to come across into our neighborhood. So if you add all that traffic coming out of that neighborhood, no bueno, no, not at all. A subset of that is most townhomes communities have like parking restrictions. They can't park commercial vehicles in there. There's not enough visitor spots. If that's the case, then where's that overflow going to come but into our neighborhood, which, we park on our streets already. So that's another subset problem. A third concern is whether or not that neighborhood is being engineered properly to mitigate, as some of the other folks had said about flooding. There's already a floodplain there. Are they taking the proper steps to engineer this properly, mitigate any issues of increasing more flooding with all those trees are now gone and the water just running down? So we're concerned with that. And my husband wanted me to bring up, lastly, we're concerned with what other projects are out here that we don't know about. We just should have been in the loop, and we should be in the loop as concerned residents. Even if we're not concerned, we need to, be advised so we can know if we're concerned about a project that's out there or not. So thank you for listening and putting it on record.
Thank you, Mrs. Tubbs. Madam Clerk.
Jeffrey Branco.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us and meet with us. My name is Jeffrey Branco. I live at 17935 Curtis Drive in Dumfries. and I share concerns with my fellow Prince William Estates neighbors. One of the things that nobody else mentioned is that many of the Prince William Estates residents selected this neighborhood as their home because it was a closed, quiet loop neighborhood with one entrance, one exit. We weren't expecting through traffic. People, some folks have been living in the neighborhood 50 years plus, and they moved in when the neighborhood was built, or since the neighborhood was built, knowing that aesthetic was going to be there, that it was going to be a closed loop. They're not anticipating additional traffic. They knew it was going to be 109 homes. And then now suddenly we have surprise that there's going to be our neighborhood's going to become a throughway to access another 150 homes with this project, and who knows what else beyond that. We think this new development is going to alter the aesthetic of the neighborhood by turning our small, narrow roads into a throughway. We're worried about safety. We're worried about the increase of traffic on Curtis Drive and EB. But we're also concerned that during the construction, they're going to tear up our roads because they're not going to be able to just use those roads. They're probably, because of tight turns, they're probably going to have to go another route. We also believe that this is going to contribute to a significant traffic increase at the Route 1 intersections, egressing Curtis Drive on the Grand Park Road, and coming back from Route 1 north from Quantico, trying to turn into our neighborhood, and from people picking up their children from Grand Park Middle School, trying to get back to the neighborhood. Right now, we typically have to sit through 3-4 cycles of the light to get off of Grand Park Road in front of the Dunkin' Donuts, and then another cycle of the light in order to get through the next. Grand Park Road widening at Route 1 hasn't been executed. We don't know what the future is of that. Route 1 widening project status is unknown. I would urge the council to disapprove any projects until after the Route 1 widening project is completed. Our streets and the intersections can't handle the traffic we have right now, and adding to that is only going to further exacerbate the problems. We're also concerned about stormwater retention ponds at the Potomac Highlands development and the Knolls of Dumfries. Both of those overflow during summer storms, and both of those feed into the creek that floods EB Drive and our neighborhood, flooding people's yards, saturating the yards, flooding basements, garages, everything else. And we'd really like you to see if there's any, if we can get engineering to take a look at the existing stormwater management systems.
Thank you, Mr. Branco. I appreciate you.
Can I take advantage of some of the others that yielded their time?
No, you have to pass it on. Each member gets 3 minutes, and so we have to kind of respect the 3 minutes of each individual.
Okay. I thought the ones that yielded were.
We will have a town hall for this particular thing, and everybody will get to talk tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just for the sake of this council meeting, that is our format.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Glenn Patton.
My name's Glenn Patton. I live at 17869 Lyda Lane in Prince William Estate. I'd like to thank the town council for their time tonight, as well as the honorable mayor that I had the pleasure of meeting the other night, which is great. I share and I don't need to repeat all of our concerns but the main concern I have are two, which is the egress point that is coming into our small community of 109 houses, and all the traffic that will bring and the risk it will be for the 27 children in our neighborhood that are there playing daily as we have construction vehicles, as well as once the project's complete, when there are other egress points out on Route 1 or behind near Quantico surrounding the property that could be better egress points and less houses would be impacted. But I hope you'll strongly consider everything that we brought to your attention today and possibly help us resolve that issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Patton. Madam Clerk.
Solange Nana.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Council Chairs, for this opportunity. I'm not going to repeat myself because a lot of the concerns that I had already been addressed by my previous neighbors. I live on Curtis Drive, 17945 Curtis Drive, at the Prince Williams Estate entrance. Our house is the very first house when we entered that street, Curtis Drive. Like others have mentioned, I particularly had no idea about this development coming on. We are not against growth. Growth is fantastic. It's a wonderful opportunity. Life is not static, so we need to grow and develop. However, I think it's the manner in which the development is coming at us or to us that are surprised that it's making all of us somewhat very unappreciated. We feel unheard. We feel unvalued. We feel like we don't matter. This is our community. I personally have lived in that neighborhood for 18 years. So our voices need to be heard. I'm particularly concerned for safety at this particular moment. It's already very dangerous right now. When I try to get out of my house in the morning, I can sit there for 2 minutes. I look on the right and I look on my left, it's clear, and I step on my gas, there's somebody behind me, and I'm like, oh my God, where is this person coming from? And this is with having 109 residents right now. So how much more dangerous is this going to be if they were to add 150 homes to our community? We need another exit entrance. It's unfair, it's dangerous, it's unsafe. We feel threatened in our neighborhood. So I believe that if councilmen and women to support the resident of Dumfries Estate, we are pleading that you guys listen to our voices, halt this process. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture and not just money over health, over safety, over the lives of the individuals that are there. We feel unsafe right now. We cannot just get out of our home and go out safely without being hit. And people come flying down on Curtis Drive as if it's 95. I think we need to have, speed limits. We need to have more police officers controlling that road. Let them do a recording of the speed, how much people are going. They will help for you guys to relate our concern to what we are going through. So thank you for this opportunity to listen to us, and we hope that something positive is going to come out of this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Solange. Madam Clerk.
Next speaker is Brenda Villa.
The Honorable Ms. Dry.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. My name is Brenda Vi. I live at 4031 Dominion Drive in Dumfries. I've lived there for about 39 years now, but I've been born and raised in this town, so I've seen a lot of changes. I'm asking you, please, tonight to come and help us. Prince William Estates cannot handle this traffic. Our streets are not made for it. If you saw Lyda Lane and Eby Street over there, you will see what I'm talking about. Town Council Fields, you know those streets are small. They cannot handle this traffic to come in there. Mayor Woods, God rest her soul, but if Elsie Garrison was alive today, what would she tell you about that drainage coming in there and the flooding, okay? You know it's gonna come on down in there and it's gonna be worse. I don't know, did anybody receive any certified letters from the town that this was coming in on their property? Everybody I've talked to, no, nobody knew it was coming in there. Please, we cannot take this traffic in there. We already have the problems. You know how it is at Route 1. We know that Pillar Church is probably going to be coming. That we can understand. That's a town project. This is a county project. County's trying to dump their traffic onto us. What about Gateway? What about Anderson Road? What about Myers? What about N Street over there? That could all come on them. That's their project. This is not a town project. Please help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Madam Clerk?
Ebony Lofton.
Good evening, Council. My name is Ebony Lofton, and I am running for a seat on the Dumfries Town Council this November. When a homeless shelter was planned in my community, someone from this council called me. At the time, I was the president of the HOA to let me know. Now, I understand that was in the town of Dumfries, but it was something that didn't have to be done. And we really appreciate it. And as a community, like the folks in Prince William Estates, we rallied together, and that project did not go through because we felt the concerns in our community were that great. I'm running to be a voice for others like those in Prince William Estates, to be a voice for those many of you who maybe aren't comfortable coming up here and talking, because it's not very easy to stand in front of an elected body and speak your voice and try and be kind and not be emotional. But I'm running because I do want to be a candidate that doesn't just knock on doors for votes. I want to knock on your door to see how you're doing, what you need, what's important to you. And I'm not knocking anyone else here, but I think that the gentleman made a very good point. Of course, I've done some research. I've had the pleasure of meeting with these folks for the last couple of weeks. We've been working together, and as they mentioned, no one wants to place blame on the town. No one wants to say it's anyone's fault. But if we can come together like this, we can keep doing it. And to the residents and everyone who has a chance to hear about this story, it's not enough just to cast a vote on November. It's important to stay involved. The town of Dumfries has the Citizen Connect app, which I get my notifications all the time. They send out notifications about Wednesday. They send out notifications about events. But we've also got to, if you have to set a reminder every Wednesday or every whatever date they come out, check the agendas and check the county agendas. Stay in constant communication with your elected officials and hold them accountable. So I thank you so much for your time. I do want to offer a shameless plug. I am hosting a kickoff event on Sunday, May 26th with Kay's Citrine Soul Food, some of the best soul food in Northern Virginia, and hope all of you could make it. Thank you so much.
Madam Clerk?
That's all we have for signed up.
All right, thank you. Later on, if you all hang around, there is a presentation about that project so that you all can hear some of the information before it. We'll now have council comment period. Ms. Peterson, do you have any comments today?
I don't have any at this time.
Okay. Councilman Fields, any additional comments for you?
Yes, sir. When I came in the council chambers this evening, even after I met with my motorcycle crew, I came in and saw most of y'all and I said, hey, smile. Because I wanted to see y'all smiles then before we got maybe not so happy faces in the audience. I didn't know either. And I've been on this council for 8 years. Some of y'all might find that it's a shock, but I'm going to speak for myself and others will speak too. But I was that shocked too. And we hear you. Ms. Vi, my former Brenda, my former council member, we sit beside each other. There you go, back there. I know, and you know I know. So I've been up here crunching numbers and everything like that. So we'll get into that tomorrow, what I've come up with and what I think. But we hear you. I hear you. And yeah, I'm up for election this year. I've been on for 8 years. I think I've done a pretty good job seeing you guys, seeing you in the community. I see a lot of you. I go by his house quite often and say hi for whatever, So you guys have been around. The only reason I didn't knock as many of your doors 4 years ago because of COVID, but I'm quite sure you see me around. I see you all the time. So I hear your concerns, and we're going to talk more of this tomorrow. And like the mayor said, we have some presentation coming up so we can get some more information on this. And we're here for you. Thank you.
Councilman Pete?
Thank you, Mayor.
To all the citizens, I want to let you know that we have your support, that we are concerned about you all, and that we will be taking this on with you guys tomorrow to find out the best solution that we can come up with. Moving forward, I want to ask that we have a issue going on within the county, more so right here also, changing pages. I ask that we all collectively look around the community if we're there during the daytimes, that we have a lot of children that are missing classes, that are missing school, that are just moving around. I came from an area where the community helped. Hey, where you going? Get your butts to school. Hey, where you going? I'm gonna call your mom. I'm gonna call somebody that knows you. We're gonna get you to school. Because again, I drive and I strive on the education side and recreational for children. But I've coached for several years. I'm a student athlete coach. If those of you don't know that, I'm in the classroom first before we get to the athletics, right? So the education for our children is very, very important to me. I love my recreational, but that is secondary. So I'm asking, just as well as a lot of other things that we're talking about this evening, is that if we can collectively come together, and if we see a child out and about during the time that they're supposed to be in school hours, that we please do not ignore our children, because we love y'all children, and I hope y'all love our children also, and I know we do. So I'm asking you all, we can collectively come together and help support, because this is an ongoing thing that's going on within Prince William County itself, and there's been a message coming out from the Grand Park Middle School principal and asking for help from us for this part. So I'm asking, as a Councilman Sean P., and yes, I will be running for re-election this year. Yes, I will. I love to support the citizens. I love to support the children, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. But as of today, I want to ask if we can come together and help these children continue their education, because I believe if you teach a child the right way, they'll have a great path to go. Thank you, Mayor.
Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank all the citizens for coming out tonight and expressing your concerns to us. We need to hear from you. We'd love to hear from you. And I'm not going to take too much time, because we do have an agenda item that's going to address this particular project, and we can kind of talk about how we got to where we are so we can understand the process. I understand your feelings. I understand your consternation behind this project. I'm equally as upset as a citizen of Dumfries and as a representative, but we're going to get to how we got to where we got. Tomorrow, we will be having our town hall, which will be an even bigger forum, so we can have even more dialogue. We have invited the county to come out. We have reached out to Supervisor Bailey's office, and she will be sending a representative to hear from you and also explain what's kind of going on the county side of this. So we hear you, and we are responding to your concern. And then lastly, please come out and join us this weekend. We're planning all kinds of fun. We can get together for some positive and fun things as well. We have our gala on Friday night. Sadly, there aren't any more tickets. So if you don't have your tickets, I'm sorry, but we have a full weekend of fun. There'll be food, jazz bands, historical reenactments, and things of that nature. So please come out and join us. Thank you.
Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, I would like to echo my fellow councilmen and women. We do hear you. As Councilman Field said, this was a surprise to us. So what you're going to hear later on is some facts and background on what has transpired. The real issue or the real concern is what can we do? And I say we jointly. What is it that we can do to help this situation? Because it is moving forward. It's moving downstream. So if we can get our minds together to see if there's something that we can do to impact this particular project, that's what we should be concentrating on, and not pointing the fingers at who done what or what happened. We're at a different place right now. Also, I would like to say that this is election cycle, and you're going to hear a lot of stuff that you want to hear. There's things from this council, from this dais, that legally we cannot do. And you have to understand there's a different side once you're on this side of the dais. So I can tell you what you want to hear, but that's not what I should be telling you. So I'm telling you right now, these things that transpired probably in 2018, so back in that time frame, they're coming to fruition right now. And
one of the citizens came up, involvement. I've been preaching that from this dais. This room is full today. If you go back and look at our council meetings, this room is empty. We post our public hearing legally. No one shows up. When this probably came, it didn't come through, but you'll find that out in the later presentation. So we need your involvement. We need you here. We need you to participate. If there's a public hearing and it's not in your neighborhood, it still affects the town of Dumfries, which eventually affects you. So if you're not here, you're not being vocal for the town of Dumfries, it's going to get into your neighborhood. So please come out and participate as much as possible. And you're back, Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. One of the hardest things about going last is everybody says what I was going to say. And so it's hard to speak sometimes without sounding a bit repetitive. So I just want to kind of echo some of the things that have been said. So forgive me in advance if it sounds a bit repetitive. So first and foremost, thank you all for being here and sharing your concerns. It does take a brave heart to get up and speak in front of a room full of people. And to that point, it is Public Service Recognition Week. And really what that means is this is the week where we take time to honor those who serve publicly, specifically when it comes to government, local, federal, et cetera. And as local government servants, imagine how hard it is for us to sit up here and do what we do. It's very difficult. It's difficult because we take time away from our families. We do this after work. We do this on the weekends. And it's not easy to do this, but we do it because we care. We don't do it for a fat paycheck because we don't get it. I get my fat paycheck when I go to work in DC every day. I come here because I love my community and I want to represent you. So don't misunderstand my not knowing what's going on in Prince William Estates for a lack of concern. It's not. It's because Prince William County didn't tell us. So we were surprised by that too. But again, you'll learn more about how we were also surprised a little bit later on. I say that to say that we all have some work to do here. We'll help you understand what we can and cannot do. But I hope what you will take away from what you hear tonight and what we engage in tomorrow with our conversation is that we are all working on this together because we are a community. And in order for us to do this, we have to work together. We're not working against each other. We're working together. I've always said, don't just complain, contribute. The same way you all don't want us to just show up for election or just talk to you for election. It's like Councilman Brown said, it really is about engagement. And the thing about our uniqueness here in the town of Dumfries is that we're Dumfries within Prince William County. So Prince William County has things going on that impact us here in the town of Dumfries. So your concerns that you've expressed to us here, we also need to make sure that they know how we feel at the county level. So a lot of the concerns that we heard today, we also want to make sure that they know that we have those concerns at the county level because this is a county project that's impacting us here in Dumfries. So they need to know because in the county, that's where these approvals were made. And it's just rolling into us here in the town of Dumfries. So we want to make sure that not that we're pointing fingers anywhere, but we want to make sure that our concerns are heard in the right places as well. So it really is about educating us on how we need to make sure these concerns are being voiced and understanding what we can and cannot do with the tools that we have. So I hope to see a lot of you all back here tomorrow so that we can engage and learn from each other and figure out how we can do this together, because as a community, I'm sure we'll be able to figure it out. Thank you, sir.
My comments are this. First of all, thank you to Mr. Jacobs, Mr. Neal, Mr. Grandin, Mrs. Tubbs, Mr. Patton, Mr. Franco, Ms. Solange, everybody who actually signed up and got up here and spoke. You are heard, you are valued, you appreciate, you matter to us. So in spite of whatever the narrative is, you matter to us, and the decisions we make, we think hard and long about it. We're actually in a whole comp plan rewrite right now that we've had several community engagement sessions. We put it at the farmers market because one of the tenets that we sat down and we talked about in two strategic planning sessions last year, which is the essential part of our mission statement and vision statement, is your citizen engagement. And how can we get the citizens engaged? And we thought long and hard about this. And our mission statement or our vision statement has three parts to it: a well-managed government, engaged citizens, and to create a thriving downtown. That's the tenets of the vision that we had. And so we sit here and we struggle each and every day. Councilman Pete wanted to tell you, we even got an app that we spent and developed a lot of money, the Dumfries Citizens Connect, where you can go out, take pictures, you can connect with us, you can put any overgrown grass, any traffic complaints, any concerns that you see, and it's right at the push of your button, just like an app. And that's a free app for each and every one of you to download, the Dumfries Citizens Connect app. I wanted to thank Miss Serenity Jenkins for leading us in the pledge. Give her a round of applause for coming up and leading us in the pledge today. She did such a beautiful job. She's a part of the Divine Inspirations School of Arts, and she does wonderful work. There's a bunch of occasions and a bunch of celebrations that I want to make sure we all know about this month. This week, if you all got kids or whatever, but it's Teacher Appreciation Week as well. And the theme for the teachers this year is Our Teachers Are Shining Stars. I want to take my hat off to all those out there who are doing the work, especially the work that they got to do post-COVID with a lot of these young people and that whole year of in-person learning that they lost. So please give a round of applause to all our teachers who serve our community. I want to wish in advance all the mothers a happy Mother's Day on this Sunday, May the 12th. May your day be filled with love and joy from your kids and all those who love you. It's also, May 12th is also my mother's birthday. So if you see her, make sure you say happy birthday. It's also International Nurses Day. Next week, we celebrate National Police Week. It's a week long where we honor and remember those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty. So next week, we'll be honoring our police officers who's lost their life. The end of the month, of course, for all of those who not just served in the military, but we set aside a day called Memorial Day, which we honor those who lost their life in service. So it's a day to remember all those who died. Again, you heard earlier, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm not going to really dwell on that again, but we are really trying to start a conversation around the stigma around mental health. 1 in 5 people have some type of mental health condition. Some of us grew up with grandmama or grandfather, somebody who had some type of, and nobody talked about it. And so we're really bringing awareness to that so we can start having those conversations around mental health. Lastly, I want to say happy 275 years to the town of Dumfries. We're still the oldest continuously chartered town in the Commonwealth of Virginia, chartered May 11, 1749. The same day as the city of Alexandria, but we got there 30 minutes before them, so we're the oldest, and we're all represent our Scottish heritage. But as we reflect on that journey that brought us here today, I want to say, let us cherish and celebrate that rich history, the community spirit that makes the town of Dumfries truly unique. We got a full weekend, as the Chair Pro Tem told us, of just celebrating this milestone. We're going to kick off the festivities on Friday with a gala hosted by a radio and television personality at the National Marine Corps Museum. We're going to have community leaders and residents gathered there to honor and to speak on the 275 years. On Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have vibrant community festivals at both Garrison Park here and Merchant Park, with live music, food vendors, and just fun for all ages. Again, May 11th is the day that we were chartered. And so on Saturday night, we're going to end the night with fireworks in the sky. So we'll have a nice little firework display. So come on out together. Let's honor our past. Let's embrace our present. And then let's look eagerly toward a promising future. Again, happy Charter Day, Town of Dumfries. Lastly, tonight's food for thought, I think is pretty appropriate for where we're at. It's a quote by Helen Keller. It says, "Alone, we can do so little, but together we can do so much." Our first presentation tonight is an introduction of 3 new police officers and then an introduction of our new Director of Recreation. Stay here. Madam Town Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, members of councils, member of the community. I'm gonna ask my Chief of Police to come up as well as Mr. Vines after the chief. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Honorable Town Council. As the mayor said, this week or next week will be Police Officers Memorial Week. 1962, President Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, where we honor all those who have fallen in the line of duty. So I'd just be remiss if I didn't mention that. On that note, Dumfries is glad to introduce 3 new officers that we've hired. We have a 4th, but he couldn't make it today because he hasn't told us his other job that he's leaving yet. So without being said, I'll introduce Mr. Sean Brown first, and I'll let him speak about his experience and everything else he wants to talk about.
And good evening. My name is Sean Brown. I have 14 years experience. I'm currently coming from GW University. I worked previously with the county and worked the area for 7 years there. But I've been in law enforcement since 2010, and I was in the military before that. So been in service for 20 years now. Well, thank you.
And next will be Officer Brandon Couch.
Good evening. I'm Brandon Couch. I've been in law enforcement now for over 20 some years. I was with the county for over 19 years, with U.S. Capitol Police for 3 years, and then also a veteran, 82nd Airborne. And I'm happy to be part of this community and serve this community. I'm looking forward to being here.
And last but not least, Officer Jackson.
Good evening. My name is Officer John A. Jackson. I've been a police officer, well, this year will make 4 years. I was at Petersburg Bureau of Police for 2.5 years. I was with the county for a year, and now I'm here, and it's a pleasure.
We are building an all-star team for the police department. So yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Chief, are you still hiring? This is a good commercial. You still hiring?
Yes, sir. Still hired.
Okay. Madam Town Manager.
Mayor, members of council, I am pleased to introduce Mr. Joseph Ray Vines, our new Director of Recreation and Civic Engagement.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, to town staff and leadership, good evening to you. Just want to be very quick and say that it is a pleasure and a privilege to be a part of the Dumfries family. I'm looking forward to serving. I'm excited about it. There's a lot of great energy. I want to continue to be a part of the process and making Dumfries a destination. And I just look forward to being a part of the process. So thank you for the opportunity to serve, and citizens, thank you for the opportunity to serve as well.
Okay, Councilman Pete.
Yes, Mr. Vines, I want to say thank you for joining the town of Dumfries, as I am truly excited to be a part of seeing you come aboard the town of Dumfries, and I am eager to get ready for these events that are coming about and recreational for our community. Thank you, Mr. Vines, and welcome to the town of Dumfries.
Councilman Fields.
Yes, I want those officers to come back in here. All 3 of y'all, come on back in here. All right, I'm gonna set the record straight with them. Okay? Well, a couple of them. Two of those guys I work with on the street, right down here in Dumfries. When I was 7215 for the town of Dumfries, you were 1351. We ran calls all over this town and helped them in the county. My man here, 1333, when I was 7215 as well, or 10. What does that mean? That's our unit numbers. That's our call numbers. What I'm getting at, these are good police. All right. Y'all know I served this community for 8.5 years before I came on town council. All right. And we did the town good. And these officers from the county, when you talk about backup, when they knew I was working especially, they backed me up. So they know this town already. They know this area. What's this area called from the county? It's called the Pit. All right. Why is it called the Pit? Because at the top of each entrance in the town, if you look down, the town goes down into a pit and come up. So it's nicknamed the Pit. So you got good police here. Ms. Jackson, I know you good police too. Because I used to be a deputy sheriff in Petersburg years ago. And I worked at Virginia State University, which is right next door. You come from good police. So that's what you want to see in your community. We got it. I approve this message.
All right, the first of two presentations. The first one is going to be one on what's going on with Quantico Creek restoration. Yes, Brenda Vibe, we heard what Miss Elsie is saying from us from heaven. And then we'll go into a presentation on the Harbor Reserve Harbor. Okay, before we do that, I want to give everybody opportunity to go to the bathroom. So let's take a quick 10-minute break. Council. I'm ready. We ready. Let's start. I'm starting. Come on, Joe. All right. Our first presentation of the night is going to be one of some good information. We're going to talk about what's going on along the Quantico Creek restoration, what's been done in phase 1, where we at in phase 2, and where do we go from here? So we'll ask the representative to come up, introduce yourself, and the floor is yours for your presentation.
Great. Thank you very much, Mayor Wood, Vice Mayor Nickerson, and Town Council and community members. My name is Kip Mumma. I'm the principal engineer for a company called Ecosystem Services. We are a small business, and we specialize in ecological restoration, water resources projects. And we were involved in phase 1 of Quantico Creek restoration. I'm assuming this is a clicker that I can use here. This is a picture right here of the creek that we're talking about. And this is kind of in this neighborhood, in this community. So I think this is, in a way, a great opportunity to introduce some of the concepts, maybe a refresher for some that observed or were involved in some of the conversations around phase 1. So very happy to be here with the community. This is Quantico Creek in this picture here, and we'll jump right in. Again, as Mayor Woods mentioned, we're going to talk about, again, the Quantico Creek phase 1 overview, then kind of phase 2 overview, where we are in the design process, and then next steps associated with that. And what we're trying to, our kind of objectives for the presentation is just to understand what has been done for phase 1, the context for phase 2, and just to introduce, again, kind of the next steps planned at this time. Does look like I may be on a timer that doesn't work with my, my pacing here.
If you need to click, just say click and we'll click it in the back.
So first off, the term restoration may be new to some. So this is the definition that we like to use. It's the process of assisting in the recovery of an ecosystem that has been degraded, damaged, or destroyed. So we're trying to assist in this process. Obviously, natural systems, they are susceptible to impacts from the built environment. So our roadways, our developments, and past actions as well. And so as restoration seeks to assist in that recovery of these, in this case, stream ecosystem. And so here, I am an engineer. I can't help myself. I need graphs. So this is a simplified graph. On the top, the red line is just to indicate, say, a high functioning natural system, maybe in more of a forested area, hasn't been impacted over time. The blue line might be a more degraded system that has been impacted over time. The green is really what we're trying to do with restoration. We're trying to get it from a degraded condition to a more high functioning system where we see the aquatic life that can be sustained in these types of systems and the benefits that we all receive from them. So we're trying to get it there faster, so expedite that time frame and get it to a higher ecological function. So that's a very simplified overview of what we're trying to do. What does this actually look like? Pictures, I think, are best for this, and we can talk through some of the results of phase 1. On the left-hand side, there is a bunch of overhanging vegetation, but I have another picture to kind of show what's behind some of that vegetation. But in general, this was a picture taken in a similar location for phase 1. What I would point out, and what we'll talk about a little bit more, is just the narrowing of the system of the actual waterway that you can see, some of the sloping of the bank that was done in this area as well. The left-hand side is the pre-restoration. The right-hand side is the post-restoration. I like to use a medical analogy, it's kind of like surgery. So you're going in and you're doing a more invasive approach. You're really shaping the banks. You're changing the dimensions of the channel. So it does look a little bit more raw, certainly during construction and then afterwards. But what we're trying to do is recover that system on a shorter time horizon than other interventions. This is a better picture of essentially what we were trying to address. There is an over widening of the creek in this area, as many that have been down by the creek and live in the neighborhood may have seen over time. And that's where this erosion, this bank erosion, starts to push out on the stream bank. And that sediment, of course, is an impact to aquatic life. Also, that erosion does affect properties in the area. And so you can see in this same general area, just on a stream bank, what it looks like post restoration. So it's more of a gentle sloping, the planting of herbaceous material and different tree material in that area to help stabilize and to have more functional flow patterns in the area. Not big changes to some of the stormwater outfalls, but again, this was, as you can see, a fairly eroding bank where there is an outfall. Our extents are somewhat limited to the stream corridor, but then again, just trying to transition that stormwater outfall down to the creek. The area of phase one was really from just downstream of I-95, again, between adjacent to Dominion Drive. And we kind of stopped about 800 feet downstream. And then phase two, we'll talk a bit more about and have some overview pictures, is then from where phase one ended down to Main Street, essentially. So outcome of phase one, some of these pictures, but as I mentioned, 800 feet of restoration, these vegetated banks that were an important characteristic that we were trying to establish. And then part of the funding opportunities associated with this is for pollutant reduction, namely sediment, phosphorus, nitrogen, these nutrients. These are really surrogate pollutants that with stabilizing the banks helps reduce this material from being transported downstream further into Quantico Creek and ultimately the Chesapeake Bay as well. This also is a bit of a thoroughfare for river herring. I'm not sure if anybody's kind of gone down to the creek and seen the river herring, but when they're coming through, there are a lot of river herring, and prior to restoration in particular, not very much depth of flow. And so you can see them kind of struggling to get upstream. And so what we intended to do and what we were able to accomplish was a narrowing of the channel, greater base flow. To allow for the fish passage upstream. So there was some fish sampling after construction to kind of show that was successful. It's just a snapshot in time, so more of that over time will help us understand how the system is functioning. But we did see 17 different fish species sampled in that post-restoration condition. So where are we with phase two? We want to learn from phase one. We want to understand what was successful, what we need to look at further, and kind of continue that process downstream. So what have we done so far? An assessment process. I won't bore you with necessarily all of these items, but just to say that there's a fair amount involved. Phase two, I should have mentioned as well, or phase one rather, finished in 2019, kind of early 2020, I think is basically when we did the as-built survey. So then after that, when we started phase two with the town, we kind of went through these steps on assessment, understand the system, understand what was successful in phase one, and then move into design where we're looking at the flow of the water through this section, other constraints in the corridor. We're doing our hydraulic analysis. We're trying to understand what reference conditions we want to have similar to the restored conditions. We're doing our channel sizing and our vegetation design. This is the area that we're talking about. So this is, I don't want to hit anybody's eyes here. So this is, well, don't know if the laser pointer works, but on the downstream end, on the right-hand side, there is Main Street. And then Dominion Drive would be kind of to the bottom of the page in that area. So we were monitoring flows through this time, and so we're trying to understand the flow dynamics, had a gauge installed in that location, precipitation as well, just so we're making sure that our design is really suited for the location that we're working in and the flows that are occurring. This is a fairly large watershed. It's about 27 square miles. I'd say the good news from a watershed perspective is primarily forested. It's the headwaters of the Prince William State Park. That has a benefit to just the biological uplift that's possible when you have a forested watershed. There is an increasing amount of impervious area, as we all know, from development. And so these types of projects help buffer that biology from those impacts. This is just a delineation. These projects do require permitting with Corps of Engineers and DEQ, and so this is part of that process. We're looking at the vegetation. There is a fair amount of what we call kind of nuisance vegetation, invasive vegetation that we wanted to document in the area. Again, part of the funding mechanisms and what we're trying to do is improve native habitat. So by that, I just mean specifically vegetation that is adapted to these conditions and has been adapted to these conditions for a long period of time. Then we're looking at the bank erosion, and this helps us quantify those amounts of pollutants that we're intending to prevent from going downstream with the design. We're taking soil samples, nutrient concentrations to understand those on-site conditions. We're doing our due diligence from a hydrologic perspective, understand the range of flows through this portion of the creek. We're looking at the hydraulics, essentially a lot of that energy that is causing some of the property loss and impacting the stream corridor. So then we have to come up with our plan. Again, we're changing the dimensions of the channel to help the river herring get up through there and lower the energy of the system. So we have kind of a main channel that we're interested in, and then how does that transition to maybe a flatter bench area, and then how do we tie out and slope that with gentler slopes down to the creek. And then once we've kind of designed that, we're looking at the designed conditions here and making sure that we have lower energy along the range of storm events that we've been able to assess occur in this corridor. And then we're looking at how can we plant vegetation that's going to be, one, help outcompete some of the nuisance vegetation that's going to be well adapted to the area. These are herbaceous grasses and trees and so forth along the channel banks. And so as I understand it, both this presentation and subsequent presentations and community engagement is planned or in the planning process. So that is a component of the next steps from a purely permitting standpoint and kind of the traditional process for a project like this. That community engagement hopefully will be able to precipitate some level of easements for the construction activities. As I said, this does require construction equipment to get down into the creek to address some of these conditions. Then it would be bid out. This would be a publicly bid project, and then it would move to implementation. This, because of where it's located, there are some time of year restrictions associated with when this type of work can occur. We don't want to impact the river herring, and we don't want to impact that habitat in trees. And so there are some restrictions on when that can occur, namely from July to January is kind of the window where we won't impact river herring. So that will be detailed in the permits that are being applied for with the Army Corps of Engineers and DEQ, and they'll prescribe those time of year restrictions, but that is what we expect from that process. I wasn't entirely sure how much time I had, so I may have sped through some of that, but I hope that was informational on the process. I'm not sure if we have time for questions or.
Council, do you have any questions? Just wanna, no, there's no questions from the floor. There's no questions from the floor. I'm gonna ask this, do you know how much we've, like allocated or spent or where we're at with the funding and how much more funding is projected to be needed for this project? And I think too, it's important, like who ultimately owns Quantico Creek?
Right. They are federal waters. And so that's why the Corps of Engineers gets involved in that process. And so technically it's the Corps of Engineers jurisdiction in this case as well. The Virginia Marine Resources Commission also has jurisdiction because of the size of the watershed. So everything from the kind of top of the bank upstream, of course, is owned by private property, but from what we call the ordinary high water mark down would be more federal and state waters. So overall, the project is estimated. Again, we don't have construction bids to be able to validate this, but it would be estimated to be close to $1.3 million for the total project costs. This is funded through primarily grant funds, the Stormwater Local Assistance Fund through DEQ, and as I understand it, the ARPA, the American Recovery Plan funding helps support that, and then is matched, although I don't have the exact numbers with town funds, but primarily it's funded through grant funding, and these agencies have an interest in reducing the pollutants.
Councilman Brown, then from the fifth.
Timeline. When is this project due to be finished? Estimate.
It's a good question. Some of that does depend on the permitting process itself. So as I mentioned, that's kind of in process. We had reached out to some of the agencies and they kind of said that might be wrapping up May, towards the end of May from a permitting process. But then I think it's the town's own process in terms of community engagement, in terms of the bid process. So I would say, it could feasibly start, say this November, and then likely wouldn't finish until the following fall. So 2025, it could feasibly be completed. But again, that does depend on more of the local process as well.
Okay, and back to the funding. So the grants have already been approved, so the money's in hold right now?
I know the Stormwater Local Assistance Fund is, and
yes. Right now, we do have that built in for programming this year. I am working with ecosystems to get the bid products ready to go out, but at the same time, we're looking to start the community engagement. There's about 12 properties, I believe, that would be impacted with easements that's needed to get into the area. And I'm picking up where the former Public Works Director kind of left off. So I'm trying to piece that much together, then start that process of reaching out to the community.
Councilman Fields.
It's very fitting that you're here today and Prince William Estates residents are here today. I'm going to attempt to ask a couple of questions that I believe are on the people's minds out there.
Absolutely.
Flooding. How far have we come since we did phase one? I can attest to not seeing it as bad as it was. And I hope some of the residents can attest to that too, that it's not bad as it was. Percentage wise, can you give me a roundabout, please?
Yeah. So when we look at flooding, we could look at it kind of in two different ways. We look at more the smaller storm events, say we get a 1 inch or 2 inch storm event, and you will see kind of a noticeable difference between those conditions and maybe what it was previously in terms of just the width of flooding through the corridor. But we do have to maintain, because there is a floodplain in this area, as you all are likely well aware of, and that's looking at what's termed sometimes the 100-year storm or essentially it's just a storm that has a 1% chance of occurring every year. It's a big storm. It's a really big storm. So we have to have no change in that storm event. And where we are in the watershed, a smaller project like this really would not have an impact on those larger storms. So smaller storms, we might see a reduction in some of that flooding. But these larger storms, we essentially have to make sure part of the permitting process is that we have no effect on those.
Now, you said some of this belongs to federal and is further upstream. One of the major problems that we see is things or stuff from upstream coming down and clogging our waterways, which has an impact on the residents for going up the bank and flooding.
Yeah.
I think it's not as bad as it used to be. I used to go down there and videotape, and I said, well, it used to be with a storm like this, the water was here, but it's not as bad now as it was with the banking and the preparation that they've done along the creek. You know, that was, Mayor can remember, we were, and Ms. Bai, we were on council when this was our major thing when we were on council back in 16, 17, and 18. That was our major project to get done. So what kind of help do we have, or does the project have, or from the county or from the federal government do we have on stopping the upstream stuff from really getting here?
Yeah, it's a good question. At least in terms of the project, what I would point to is that a lot of the trees that are along the bank, it is essentially a matter of time with the current trajectory that those trees will be undermined. Some of that has already occurred. You can see that in the corridor, and certainly prior to phase one, those trees fall down into the channel. That's a natural part of stream functioning. However, they do catch debris coming from upstream and can kind of exacerbate some of that problem, causing more erosion, more property loss. And so what we're doing is kind of preemptively taking down some of that vegetation, sloping the banks. So it does reduce the impact of, say, those trees falling into the system and causing some of that problem. However, it won't have a significant effect necessarily on the other debris coming from upstream, other than there won't be as much material in that kind of near bank area to
That's a
catch
good
it.
thing. At least our part of the town part of it is a lot better. So overall, I think, you know, once we get on the way with the new project, it should save more flooding for our residents, and hopefully things will get better. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add to what Councilman Fields was saying, we had a problem and we tried to get the county to mitigate the situation at the time. Then we met with Supervisor Cadigan, and we had issues with people dumping dirt up right before you got to like Little Union up when it was Batestown. And so that dirt was coming in, and we were getting complaints about all of that dirt and that settlement coming downstream. And there was no one helping us. And I guess the county said, it's okay, it's their private property, they can put it in. But that dirt was impacting and coming in that creek. And then, of course, that erosion impacted, of course, Ms. Pat Berg, Ms. Elsie Garrison, all of their properties coming down. And so we were dealing with fighting upstream plus restoring the parts in our town. Of course, you know, our residents, they come in, they talk about how much property they're losing, from a quarter acre to a half acre land to their fences sliding down inside the creek because of the amount of erosion. And so that was always our concern on enforcement upstream, you know, based on what we're handling downstream into our particular community. And I asked it knowing that it's Federal Creek, but we've been taking the lead.
Yeah.
We wrote in our comp plan that we would take the lead on Quantico Creek in our area to make sure that we do the right thing and restore it. And the SLAF grant has been very helpful. We've had some friends down at the General Assembly who have generally made sure that we've had the grants to make this a priority over the last few years. And so we're happy to have the next step forward. Hopefully the easements and what you have to do with those 12 property owners go well, and they understand the importance of moving this project forward for not only the creek, but for their property as well. So thank you.
part of the ongoing with it is the continued monitoring and doing maintenance along the way. So even though we get the restoration done now, we're starting the process of how do we maintain it long term.
Yes.
So it's not just a one and done, it's a continued maintenance process that continue to improve that waterway.
What is the community engagement process, and how will, as we move along with this project, how do we get the community engaged, and how do we make sure we're reporting the progress so that they actually know stuff is happening with this creek?
Well, looking directly at the adjacent homes, first off, making sure that I have those owners getting their information, but then reaching out to the community in a wider forum and posting it either to the town website and letting people know what's going on. The exact format I have not worked out yet, but I imagine something where we just bring them in, show them the plan, show them how their property is going to be affected. And along the way, it will improve property values because you're reducing some of that impact of the flooding. So there's a lot of benefits that we want to talk about, but just have open dialogue so that way there's good understanding.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Pete, one second.
Yes, I'm not for sure which one of the two can answer this, but understanding that two things here. One thing, the first one is I like the fact that you all stated addressing and notifying the community about 2 or 3 times in that. I definitely appreciate that. And I know the citizens do as well. My second part to this is not a fix and stop. Am I correct? As you stated, this is an ongoing situation here that we just may have to continue to monitor and modify as we move on.
Yes,
right?
It'll be a continuous process.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dick.
All right, Council, any other questions on it? Thank you for that well-informed presentation.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda is an update and a report on the Harbor Reserve project coming through the Prince William Estates project. Tabor, the floor is yours. This is our Director of Department of Planning and Community and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Chair Pro Tem, and members of the council, thank you for the opportunity to provide information about the pending Harbor Reserve private street connection and townhouse development project. The town of Dumfries received a site plan application dated December 21, 2021 for the property located at 4151 EB Drive. The plan is entitled Harbor Reserve Infrastructure Plan for the construction of a private street connection to an adjacent parcel in Prince William County and public water and sewer connection construction. The site plan entitled Harbor Reserve Infrastructure Plan dated May 27th, 2022 was stamped, approved, and signed by Keith Rogers, the former town manager. The property at 4151 EB Drive is located within the town limits, and it is zoned R2 general residential, and it is 0.23 acres. The application that was submitted indicates that the disturbed area totals 16,230 square feet, and the street frontage is plus or minus 77 feet. The site infrastructure plan for the private street connection includes the demolition of an existing single-family residential structure. The site infrastructure plan for the private street connection also includes the construction of a roadway with a width of 30 feet from curb to curb and landscaping that includes trees on both sides. This illustrates the parcel, the bottom arrow in the image on the left is the small parcel within the town of Dumfries. And the larger parcel with the arrow pointing to it is the parcel that is located within Prince William County and outside of the town of Dumfries. And on the right, the image shows the boundary lines for the town of Dumfries, and the small parcel within that to the south or below the red line, and to the right is the property that is proposed for the townhouse development, and that, of course, is located within Prince William County. The adjacent property for the proposed townhouse development, again, is located within Prince William County and outside the limits of the town of Dumfries. The parcel is addressed as 17936 Curtis Drive. The townhouse development site plan is located on property again in Prince William County, and it was approved by Prince William County in October of 2023. The site plan includes 152 units. The townhouse development is on property that is 18.28 acres. It was rezoned to R16 Suburban Residential District back in 1967. Per the Prince William County Code, uses permitted by right include single-family attached dwellings and multifamily dwellings. Therefore, no rezoning was required. Town staff received information from the developer, actually today, who is Beezer Homes, indicating that the units will be offered for sale at a market rate price between the low 500,000s and the high 500,000s. The units will be 3 levels with 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths between 1,945 square feet and 2,208 square feet with garages. The construction may be phased, but the total number of units cannot exceed 152 as indicated and approved in the site plan by Prince William County. The developer provided this proposed schedule between May 2024 and March of 2025, land development. November of 2024, building would start. January of 2025, model opening. Winter of 2027, the last sale, and summer of 2028, the completion of the proposed development. Within the site plan that was approved by Prince William County, there are stormwater measures included, and again, that was approved by Prince William County. And the site is west of an exposed floodway, which becomes piped under the properties within the adjacent neighborhood along and north of EB Drive. To address speeding, traffic safety concerns, the site plan that was approved by Prince William County includes, this is the site plan and infrastructure plan that was approved by the former town manager. It includes a speed table with signage for both directions near the intersection of the planned roadway. And in the plan, it's identified as Alicia Avenue and the intersection with EB Drive. Traffic and pedestrian safety also included in the plan include a stop sign, a white painted stop bar, sidewalks that will connect to existing sidewalks along EB Drive with ramps and aprons at the intersections, white painted crosswalks on all four roadways at the intersection as well. So with regard to community engagement, previous community engagement and communications regarding the site plan are unknown because the site plan was approved again by Prince William County. And unlike zoning matters, typically site plans are administratively approved, and that may have been the process that was employed by Prince William County. Public hearings would not have been conducted, especially since rezoning or conditional and special use permits were not required. Next steps, to date, a site plan and land disturbance permit have been approved by Prince William County for the parcel within the county. And the site plan, again, was approved for the small parcel within the town of Dumfries.
We won't have any questions from the floor. Thank you.
A land disturbance permit is pending by the town of Dumfries for the parcel within the town of Dumfries. A deed, plat, including an easement for ingress, egress, water and sewer line approval by the town of Dumfries for the parcel within the town is pending and will be presented to the town council for review within the next 30 days. Building permits from both the town of Dumfries and Prince William County are pending and would be considered after land development is complete, and all of the other previously mentioned approvals are completed. And then construction would follow the building permit approval. Thank you. And I'm happy.
Can you just go back to the stormwater part? I just want to make sure I heard you right on the stormwater part before I open it up. On the stormwater, did you say that Prince William County approved them to come through our stormwater drainage on EB?
So
make sure, because that's what I thought I heard. So I just want to clear.
Okay. So the site plan, and I mean, I could show you the small image, but it may be difficult to see. The site plan does include stormwater management measures, right? So there are detention ponds and other measures that are included within the site plan to address stormwater on the site. And that was approved by Prince William County when they approved the site plan for the townhouse development.
Oh.
It's trying to.
So we gotta. Yeah, so Prince William County approved the stormwater to come through EB into and they're gonna build a couple other, they're gonna build additional retention ponds. Is that in part of the plan?
That is, they do have on the site plan that was approved by Prince William County, detention and other stormwater measures that were approved.
Okay.
Within Prince William County.
Okay, hold on. All right, so I'm gonna come to Chair Pro Tem and we'll get questions up here and then I come to the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Mr. Tabor, for this presentation. I just want to take a couple steps back. Could you explain what a by right use is? I know it is, but just for everybody's benefit, could you explain what that is? Because I think sometimes those of us that are more familiar with zoning, we get to throwing around terms and it's not public knowledge. So could you explain what that means?
Sure. So every parcel, every property within a jurisdiction is zoned or designated a specific zone, and they are located within a specific zoning district. Within each zoning district, there are certain uses that are permitted. So, for example, in a residential district, a home is permitted, but a business would not necessarily, unless it's a home-based business, but generally a commercial business would not be permitted. So in this case, the zoning for the property is residential, and this proposed use within Prince William County is a permitted and by right use for that property.
Okay. And then also, just going back to the beginning of the presentation, when you pointed out that Mr. Rogers had approved the application, well, not the application, the site plan. And you did explain that that is an administrative procedure. But could you explain the process of a site plan? Because my understanding is that if a site plan conforms with the by right use, it's more of an acknowledgement than an approval because you can't legally turn it down. Is that the case?
Generally, yes. And so as long as, the site plan includes and addresses everything from ingress, egress to circulation to stormwater management to the zoning codes of the jurisdiction, yes, it is generally approved.
Okay, and just a couple more. You're saying that it is pending building approval, building permits from the town council. If everything is by right, why would it come before the council?
So the matter that would come before the council is the easement.
Okay.
For ingress, egress, and connection to the water and sewer utilities.
Okay, and just for clarification, if we were to vote no for that, they wouldn't be able to proceed?
That may be a legal question. I don't know.
Is it? Madam Attorney or Master Mayor, may I add that too?
Yes, Madam Attorney, if you can address that question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So it depends on what the easement is for. I mean, some of these easements under law are deemed approved by operation of law. Depends on how you've actually named it. But I would have to know all the specifics before I can answer that question in particular. But easements in general, we have provisions that allow the planning director to approve certain easements that are granted to us. If this was an easement that we had to grant, the council would have to go through that function. However, there are provisions in the state code, depending on where that easement is placed within a development, that really sort of renders the local governing body to a place where they're just basically stamping approval. There's no discretion to withhold disapproval or approval. So we'd have to look at the particulars of it. But right now I'm going to say, based on the information I have about this development in general, if we're at a place where easements have to be approved by our particular local governing body, the council, it's matter of form as opposed to discretion. And so it would be highly unlikely the council could withhold its approval in this instance.
I guess, so not to belabor the point or go back and forth, but it just seems like if these things are automatic, they wouldn't need permission from me. So if they need permission from the council, it seems like it's much more than an administrative process. It does seem like there should be some discretion, because if you can't vote no, there's no vote.
I hear what you're saying, and so I think at some point you're looking at when you're in local government, everything you do has to be sourced to something. So some things may not seem to make sense to a lay person. If you know the steps that are required at the local government level, it will make sense on the back end of things. So our code provides a certain level of review. It doesn't specify discretion. The state code provides for approval, and either from the statutory language or cases that have flowed from disagreements flowing from that lack of information, the courts have said that there's no discretion. So there are a number of things that would be looked at to answer questions. When they're generally presented, you're going to have these sort of general responses, and where there's the detail, the answer will become more detailed. But things don't always proceed as if it's logical. We have to look at the very limited circumstances that are prescribed in our statutes, whether that's a local statute, call those ordinances, or the state code. And that is going to inform the answer. And based on the generalities of the information that we have before us right now, there seems to be very little opportunity for the council to withhold its approval on this easement.
I'm not trying to argue the point because I know you know yourself. I just have a question. So if the council, hypothetically, if this is something that does have to come between the council, I know we need more information, but if this is something that does have to come before the council and the council does have to take a vote and the council votes no, what they gonna do?
Well, again, there is a disadvantage in trying to seek a very specific answer to a question with general information. And I think we're all working with very general information right now. I would like to reserve any further discussion on legal remedies to a closed session where I will be able to advise the council in a private setting rather than to speculate here on the dais. But again, there would be more information. I need to be more specific. And I would just like to leave it at that if that's okay with the chair and the other members of the body.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you. And I didn't mean to give you a hard time. I'm just trying to think my way through this as we all are. So I appreciate your response and look forward to further dialogue about the issue. Thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor and then Councilman Brown.
Thank you. So I heard your request, Madam Town Manager. Based on the questions that Pro Tem was asking, I heard her asking specifically about the easement. As I heard Mr. Tabor going over this, and as I read this, I saw 3 different requests here. I saw a land disturbance permit, an easement approval, and building permits. And I thought what you were responding to Pro Tem about was the easement approval. So does your response include the land disturbance permit and the building permits? Because I saw 3 different approval points on here. Because my question would be, if we're just talking about the easement, okay, I got you. But because I saw 3 different approval requests on here, my question would be then, if we were to, let me back up a second. Can a developer proceed without approvals from Dumfries? That's just a blanket question, because if that's the case, then we may have recourse to prevent something from happening. But then that goes back to, things are still too general. So I guess the question is, are these real things that they need from us? A land disturbance permit, an easement approval, and building permits based on what you just presented to us?
Yes, and the land disturbance permit and the building permit are generally based on building code requirements and environmental code requirements. And as long as projects or plans or applications meet those code requirements, they are generally approved. And those are administrative processes and approval processes.
So
review and approval process.
I'm sorry. Administrative then is it's a stamp.
As in, it's a review and approval from our building official, ma'am.
Okay.
Right.
So it's not something that comes from council.
No, ma'am.
And then the other question with that is, if it's in Prince William County, why is it coming from our building official?
So only the portion that is within the town of Dumfries would be considered and approved by the town of Dumfries. So it's that parcel on EB Drive that will require a building permit before they, and a land disturbance permit.
So I get the land disturbance permit is on EB, but I thought the buildings themselves were all in Prince William County, and the only thing that's actually coming into the town of Dumfries is the land disturbance.
The roadway
Right.
that's coming, yes.
So there are no buildings in Dumfries.
Correct.
So then we don't need to build, I'm confused.
A building permit is required for the roadway.
Oh, so we need a building permit, though there's no building.
Right.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
just trying to understand.
Construction permit, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha. Okay, thank you. I might come back with more questions. Thanks.
Councilman Brown.
So on page 7, we talked about the traffic safety, and I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the traffic safety was embedded in the site plan, and that's why Mr. Rogers signed off on it on page 7, traffic safety.
Yes.
For that building board.
So that site plan came from, did it come from Prince William County or the builder? How did that?
The applicant.
Applicant.
Yes, the developer.
And that was just for the road.
Yes.
Just the intersection.
What, help me with the process of approving that administratively. So if it fits the bill, there was no choice but to sign off on it, or the traffic safety piece? So as a administrative task, if I'm reviewing this particular application, what would be my guides to approve it or disapprove?
It would be the code requirements and also traffic safety requirements that are, codified within a publication.
Okay, so we can assume, since Mr. Rogers is no longer here.
Right.
We can assume that there was some traffic study that came along with this, so he can have something to say, yes, based upon this, I have to approve this.
Yes.
I'm just making this up because I don't know.
Yes. Oh, yes. And also, I have been informed that there was a traffic impact analysis that was conducted for the project, but that was associated with the Prince William County site plan. And I've requested a copy of the traffic impact analysis from them. And I unfortunately have not received it, but any traffic safety improvements that were approved by the town probably were associated with that traffic impact analysis.
Okay, and you're seeking to get that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And if that doesn't coincide with what is actually happened, if the traffic analysis doesn't line up with the approval from Mr. Rogers, is there any recourse? Because we don't have that document.
Right, but because it was approved, my understanding is that it is approved. The site plan.
Okay. And so, Mr. Tabor, again, I think most of the council here is trying to walk through this.
Absolutely.
And I shouldn't be speaking to the citizens. We're trying to peel this onion.
Right.
And what you're hearing is what we're hearing. So I'm not being pointing the finger at Mr. Tabor or Pete Rogers. I'm just trying to figure out before we start putting our heads together, what is it that we can do?
Right.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, Councilman Fields.
Mr. Tabor, thank you. I know it's rough. And I'm gonna give you a pass on, I know it's rough. Okay, because we're all trying to digest this at the same time. However, if nobody else gonna point the finger, I'm gonna point the damn finger. Because we're looking at the result of what happened from our administrator at that time, and we're not being in the loop, or the citizens not being in the loop. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and point the finger where it is, but that's how things would have worked. I also see 3 opportunities to say no. And this is not at you, we're just talking. To say no even though it's pretty systematic, as I keep hearing, for this to be approved, but we don't know what's gonna happen if we say no. So we're gonna say no. Well, I'm gonna say no. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, we gonna see what's gonna happen from there. So when that comes to me, you know where I'm going.
All right, so a couple questions that we heard was asked during the citizen comment period as well as I walked through the neighborhood. Was this property purchased with an original easement? Are we aware of, was this always the plan to have an easement come out on EB Lane or Alicia Court, whatever they're calling the street? Or when they purchased this property, was it landlocked with always the hopes of coming through the town of Dumfries?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. Indeed, the parcel does not have access to a roadway. The parcel that is within Prince William County. It does not have access to a roadway either within Prince William County or within the town of Dumfries.
Is this a separate property, a separate deed from the Pillard Church Community Housing Project? Are these two the same or is it two different?
Two separate.
Two separate,
Yes.
okay. Was there easement or access out of there? I think I know the answer to that. I think it was just a utility, but was there any type of easements going through that property?
I'm sorry, which property?
The community housing property where the old church is up there, the Pillard
No.
Church.
No.
Okay, there's no easements there. When will we see so are they required to put these traffic safety measures in place before they build or after they build? When we're looking at the speed tables, the other traffic calming measures. There are already a lot of concerns now with a car speeding through that neighborhood and many other neighborhoods coming through. We heard the concerns of how cars come up on that light.
At the point where the traffic calming is proposed, it would be after.
Okay.
It would be the build out of that community, then they put the finishing road accesses in. But in regards to the rest of the community, we'd have to go through a process of looking at speed studies, looking at if there were enforcement issues. There's a process that has to go through before you can do that in an established community.
So are we able to put up speeding signs that flash or something now?
That goes through that same process where we have to do community outreach. I believe it's 75% of the community needs to petition for it. And it goes through a long process to get that actually approved. And you typically have to go through at least 2 studies looking at traffic counts through the area to make sure that it meets the standards.
Okay, so 75% of the community needs to petition, and then there's a study done to make sure that it meets the standards?
Two studies.
2 studies?
2 studies done.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there's several different processes that we have to go through with it. But
Okay.
it's not an unforeseeable thing based on the number of cars in that community.
Okay.
So it is possible.
With this being a county project, and I know this was say, who did we invite to the community town hall tomorrow? We just want to know, and town manager, you might answer that. Who, everybody who's invited tomorrow?
We've invited the supervisor at Prince William County Supervisor, Andrea Bailey. She's sending a representative. We have not heard back from the Public Works Department in Prince William County as of yet, but she is sending a representative to the meeting tomorrow.
And the developer?
And the developer has declined to attend.
Yeah.
Okay. So they, okay.
Yes, so other than that, you have your town council invited, as well as your town attorney, your town manager, and the staff that's here today.
Okay. All right, Councilman Pete.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Mr. Tabor, real quick, I have 3 concerns here out of everything that I've heard here, right? First, my first concern is do we have any wiggle room to work with the county to route this route to a different road? My second question is, if not, do we have any wiggle room to add more than just 30 feet here from curb to curb?
We don't, because there's somebody else.
My third concern is, I'm sorry. I feel like this is a little push on us. Will we be wrong if we put a toll right there? You know, I get this, I get that laugh often, right? Well, recently about this, but I'm serious, y'all, and supporting y'all with this, right? And if we can't stop it on their side, can't we control our side?
Good question.
Just concerning questions I have. You know, some people say I may be going off the charts when I ask some of these questions, but I do feel like if we can't stop you, toll road, can we route you to another road of your own? And if not, can we widen this road 30? And they're saying that we were at 32 and 33 feet, I was reading here. And then they're going to be moving on 30 feet, so they're going to smallen the road even more.
So with regard to an alternative route or circulation pattern, myself and the Public Works Director, you know, are new to the town, and certainly dialogue with the county is something that we will pursue, and we have pursued, and will continue to pursue.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I'm not looking for you to really give those answers now.
Okay.
I'm gonna look for these answers more so for tomorrow. I definitely like the fact of giving, you know, like the citizens have given us time to review and go over some things. And I don't like to get stuff right on my plate and have to answer it right away, because I like to give the best possible answer that I can give. And as far as I believe, out of respect for the citizens, if we can come up with some of the questions and concerns that we had today for tomorrow's meeting, I would appreciate that, Mr. Tabor. Thank you.
So the only other questions I'm gonna have is at the start of construction. When these vehicles, this community has been around, I guess, since the over 50 years. We have weight limits on Batestown Road. We put that in place. What was that, 2016? We put weight limits on Batestown Road, which was then Mine Road. They're gonna have to bring in a bunch of all of this building materials and stuff like that. What is can we impose a weight limit? And I don't know what our fines are for that, but if they exceed the weight limits, can we put up a weight limit sign up there? I don't know if you know the answer to that. That's because can that road even handle the weight with our stormwater drains and the stuff that we have on that street?
Well, currently the residential limit is 20,000 for a single axle, 34 for dual axle. So there is some differences there with the construction equipment that will be coming and going from there. But I hadn't seen enough of the plans to determine if there's an alternative access to the site. That's something I still need to review.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess questions we'll want to know, was there an original easement? Was there original way out? Your report says that the zoning has been the same since 1967. So we're just trying to figure out what was the original plan with this little strip of land that's in Prince William County that impacts the town of Dumfries? And if this was changed in any small area plans, or if the county did stuff without our knowledge. So we look forward to a healthy dialogue with the citizens and the community tomorrow. Thank you for just this update on giving us some more information, and it gives us a day to kind of process this. Councilman Brown.
So lastly, Mayor, just for the citizens, because of the forum, there's no dialogue back and forth, but tomorrow in the town hall, we'll be able to engage with y'all.
All right. All right, I will exercise a 10-minute recess. We'll come back at 35 because now I got to free myself. All right, welcome back. Next on our agenda, thanks for coming, is they said it was only one item left, huh? Update and presentation of the 275. I know your commercial, everybody left for the commercial. I shouldn't have took the break. Oh.
Hey, y'all, hey.
Hey.
All the people missed it. I would have lightened them up a little bit after all that, but it's all good. We hope that they are going to come out and celebrate with us this weekend. So I think you guys all got a copy of the Runner Show. I did have a meeting yesterday with Ray and the chief, and we have some things squared away with parking and all what we're going to do on, I didn't get my VDOT block off, but it's okay. We'll live. I just got word that Strong Foundations Academy approved us for parking in their space Saturday and Sunday. And she called me and she's supposed to reply to my email, so I'll have it in writing. But she says she's good with it. And so I'll be getting with Yvette tomorrow to confirm, because we're going to have all the vendors unload and then go out and then park down there so no cars are taking up our space in the parking lot. And that's just for that Saturday. The farmers market will be back to their regularly scheduled program next week, and they'll do how they do it. But Yvette, we've been working closely together. So right now we're going to talk about our load in, y'all. We got a lot going on. Everything starts on Thursday. Again, the chief has been made fully aware of some of the things that are happening at Garrison Park Fund Services. They're going to need to load in on that day. And I already spoke to him. He's good to go. He wants to come in at 10. I'll be here to make sure everything is where he's supposed to be. He has the map, but I'll be here. Merchant Park on that day, we are on this Thursday, we are loading in all of the tables, tents, and chairs. And so for all of their performances and everything at the gazebo, all the tents, for all the artifacts and the different vendors that they will have on that side. That's on Thursday. So we're starting off early this week. And on Friday, our porta potties come in from G.I. John's. They're good. They're at both locations. I'll be here to receive them and make sure everything is going where it's supposed to go. Again, the chief has been made aware. Spoke to him yesterday, so he'll be, as his team is patrolling. They're just keeping an eye on all the things to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be and all the what happens with that. Half Crown Bakehouse needs to load in on Friday as well. Apparently, his colonial oven to bake bread the old-fashioned way, it's like a really, I don't know. He said the setup is just a lot going on. So he wants to make sure that he's set up with all that. So it's a lot of the little details and all of the things that we'll handle and take care of. But I have, as we move on to the day of, Guy Lambert will be our MC at the gala. And you guys are, the buffet that we are serving is on there. Now, I do have keynote and presentations. This is just the proposed. I figured the vice mayor would have some words. Andrea Bailey very well may have some words as well, the mayor, and I do have a video in my possession from Senator Warner. So I have that already. His people have sent that over and we're prepping to play that at the gala. I have added in the announcement and the presentation of the town council by name to stand up, and I don't think the request was to come up front, but to stand in place and be named as the town council. And Councilman Pete has requested that. And if everybody is good with that, I am adding that to our agenda for that evening for the gala. You can ask me something. Huh? Oh, okay. And we will at that point of course, the program will go on, a little dancing and all the things we got. Y'all be ready because we're gonna do, the photo booth and take our pictures. It's gonna have the logo. It's gonna be the overlay on the pictures that everybody gets. And we will also have access to everybody's pictures. Even though they could put it on their phone, we will still have access to all of those pictures. So we could do what we want to do with them whenever, to put them on Facebook, because it'll all go into one place in one location. And so, the museum is all set. They've got all the things. The commemorative book will not be distributed in the museum. It cannot and it will not. However, outside of the door, when everybody is leaving, my team will pass out the commemorative book to make sure that everybody gets one. And just a little history on what's happening there, because that is a federal installation. Anything that was purchased, ads and sponsors, we can't present any of that information within the museum. It is written, and it was also expressly stated. However, they did grant us permission to hand them out outside of the doors at the end, and they were good with that. So, yes, sir. I'm open if you want to ask a question. I'm good. And we have to be out by midnight. That's not a problem. We'll do all of our breakdown and get all the vendors out in time to make sure we're representing what we said we're supposed to do as stated in their contract. Showmobile, I'll be here at 5 a.m. because they need to set up at 5, start the setup so that they'll be ready to go by 6:30, and then we could start to load in for sound once the stage is set up. And that will remain on property for 2 days. They have granted us the permission that they don't have to break it down and take it back and then come back on Sunday. And then I think and that's written. You guys could see the details of that. I made sure I put that in here so we would all have it. And then most of it is pretty much straightforward in terms of like load in the food trucks. All of them have received their information because I just got the permission on parking. So for vendors, I am going to send another email to them stating that you could load in, and then we'll have you go and park at the Strong Foundations Academy. So all cars are not just in here. We have all the room for all the vendors, all the food trucks, all the kids in the kids play area, and all of that. So that's pretty much.
We wanted to see, was there any questions on the gala, anything before Councilman Pete?
Yes. Just the update on that recommendation from earlier, the council recognition, if we can move that to up front instead of in seat, please. And then, my second point, I was going to suggest a booth or table outside instead of, because what I was looking at is 300 people trying to cram and get out the door. But for memorabilia purposes, I do like the fact of cramming at the door so they can get those pamphlets on the way out. So yeah, so that's just those two, man.
So you want me to have the council called up to the front?
Yes, please.
And introduced by name?
Yes, as a group, yes. Yes, as a group, yes. So I'm pretty sure there will be up to 300. There will be a lot of people taking pictures of the town of Dumfries All Black Council.
I just want to make sure we're clear. Do you want the council introduced before the opening remarks, just so we're clear as to where you want them at? I'm just.
However you guys set it up.
Okay.
Just somewhere up in that intro beginning somewhere,
Okay.
I'm not, micromanaging here, but just some,
So you want me to move that to the, in the space with the opening remarks instead of keynote and presentations?
Yes, please.
Okay. We just need to know. We could do it.
Mr. Pete?
That's all, man.
Okay.
Okay. Got it.
The thing we got to make sure we put in there, Congresswoman Spanberger will be there.
Okay.
And has a presentation.
So she's presenting.
Senator Kane's people have him somewhere else, but he is working hard to get you that video by Wednesday from Senator Kane. And Jerry Conley wanted to be there. They're trying to work on his schedule. We don't know if he's going to be there. He's been a part of our history for a long time. I think we just lost him, what, a year and a half ago? Was it a year? Yeah, a year and a half. Man. So, I just want to make sure.
He's still TBD is what you're saying.
Yes, and I know you got a hard drop on the videos by Wednesday, but I just wanted to tell you that they are working and some of that. So you may have a couple of more videos. I gave them that hard stop date.
Okay.
To get those videos and for your audio visual guy. All right, council, do y'all need to go through all the rest of the days and details, or I'm just, oh, y'all shaking your heads. Let me check with Councilman Pete, because they shaking. You need to go through the rest of the.
Mayor, you want me to ask questions?
No, I don't want you to ask
Oh, okay.
questions.
Okay.
Okay. Town manager.
Mayor, if there are additional people that hasn't confirmed, we still have some tickets set aside. So you need to make sure you get those names to the clerk. So like if someone from Senator Kane's office comes, we want to make sure that they have a place inside the room. So you may need to get the name to the clerk so we can get them the ticket.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'll try to get with you tomorrow. Because I don't know if Supervisor Bailey is coming with somebody, because I didn't see her name on the list and some of the other dignitaries.
Yes.
And I think there needs to be a place on the program where we acknowledge all of those who serve, because we got a lot of past council people, vice mayors and stuff that have served. So we want to acknowledge anybody who served on our plan, who's been a part of this 275-year legacy in the town. I think some past mayors, only one, I think. But just like some type of acknowledgements, and I guess
Okay.
we're gonna run the show. Okay. And I'll make sure I get that to you. All right.
And so you guys should have all received our budget line item.
Okay, what is our current shortfall and where we are with entertainment and all of that other good stuff?
Well, we're at the 28, but if our key, our performer, Marcus Johnson, is the outlier, we did get him down to 5,000. And he's the closeout headliner for Sunday.
Does he know if he's coming or not coming?
He is available, and his team is on the ready, waiting a response from us.
Okay. Say again.
I got it.
Councilman Pete.
What response does he need from us?
His check.
Oh, okay. Oh, he needs to approve. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Not from the council.
Right. Well, from our side, because to them, they see this as one whole, They know what he knows, but he has it on his schedule. And he's awaiting.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Okay, so are we ready to start talking about this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I struggled because this red font, this ink on this red font was like killing my eyes. So I struggled. But I do have some questions about what I can see. So as I look on the bottom of this, I see $128,302.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the budget that we're at?
That's where we are.
Because we approved $100,000 for this. Is that correct? Is that what I recall?
You are correct, ma'am.
So we approved $100,000 for this event, but I see $128,000 on here indicating that this is a proposal of $28,000 over budget. Over it, I see, and this is where I struggle because of what I'm looking at, what I'm trying to see in the red here. I'm seeing $39,000 in catering on Friday. I'm seeing $6,000 for a band on Friday. Then it looks like I'm seeing $6,000 for entertainment on Sunday. I'm seeing another $5,000 on Sunday, and I can't tell what that's for because it looks like it's empty. And I'm not sure if that is $5,000 I'm seeing on there. And I'm struggling, after I struggled to see it, then I struggled to process it because those numbers seem rather absorbent to me. To be $28,000 over budget seems very fiscally irresponsible because when we as a council agreed and voted on this, we voted for $100,000 for a 3-day event. And then through recommendation, we brought on an event planner because it appeared to be too large of an event for our then civic engagement person to handle, in addition to the other duties that they had. And we wanted to alleviate the pressure off of our town manager and civic engagement department. So then we brought in Plan to a T. And so, lovely Miss Watson here. And you've been doing a great job and your energy is infectious and all of that. But what I'm struggling with is contractually, I thought you agreed that you can do this for $100,000 and get us what we asked for 3 days. And so to come in at $28,000 over budget, I'm trying to understand how did we end up here? And $39,000 for catering seems like a lot. That seems like a high price wedding. $6,000 for a band, $6,000 for a band, $5,000. And I'm trying to understand how did we end up here? Because this to me, as much as I want to, this is a great event. And I appreciate the history that we're celebrating, and I want to do something great for our residents, but this doesn't seem fiscally responsible to me. And I'm disappointed that we are this far over budget. I'm disappointed that we could not do better with the money we're spending in catering because almost $40,000 worth of catering, that's over $100 per person at $350 people. The entertainment, how long are these people playing for $6,000 for a band on both Friday and Saturday? I can't tell whether or not it's the same band because I can't really see what the name is.
He's Branco's playing for 4 hours he's playing cocktail hour through the end of the night at the gala.
That's on Friday. Is that the same person playing again for 4 hours on Sunday?
Or are you talking about,
Because it's 6,000 on Friday and then another 6,000 on Sunday.
And wax.
that sound is for the 2 days, and then it includes the 2 parks. So sound for bands and the things that they have to do to plug in and that type of thing, and music in between. So basically, our sound is coming in, they're coming in on the stage, and I'm explaining it from my level of what I get. Rick is usually here to give me.
Talking about the 5,000 or the 6,000 on Sunday?
It's actually for 3 days. What you talking about, the spin wax sound?
Okay, so wait a minute, because again, I'm having not. So I see 5,000. That's the miscellaneous cost down here on Sunday. Okay, so that's what that 5,000, because that's 5,000 right there, right?
And they span
production.
Yeah. Oh, JJ Productions is actually they are a photographer, videographer company. Now, what they're giving us is 3 shooters at the gala to capture all what we need to capture on that day. 4 shooters on Saturday, this park and that park, and drone footage, and 3 shooters on Sunday.
Okay.
And so that spans across the 3 days.
Gotcha.
And all of the employees. And then the work, I'm getting videos after each event separately. And then, of course, a compilation video and all footage that we will get from that as well.
And then the $6,000 on, what is this? What does that say? Max? What is that?
That's the spin wax. That's the sound, people, for the 2 days. So they're providing some sound over at Merchant Park, as well as setting up and breaking down for Sunday, because unfortunately, they just can't leave their things out, you know, overnight and all of that. So yeah, they'll be here in the morning, setting up all the sound, assisting with the band, assisting with the dance team, you know, making sure they're capturing their music to go on, and then
That's fine.
playing music in between too.
Okay, that's fine. So help me understand, how do we end up almost $30,000 over budget? When we started off with a $100,000 budget, which is a pretty nice budget.
It is.
To do a park day and a gala.
Because the original vision was the $100 per ticket. And if I'm doing the math of at least at 350 seats, and I say I just set aside 50 for whoever needs to come and invite and all of that, personal invitations that we, you know, you all would invite somebody that would not necessarily purchase. The vision was to sell those, at least the 300 tickets at $100 each, that was $30,000. And there's that number.
So you're saying that because the tickets didn't sell?
That was the vision, was to sell the tickets because it was supposed to offset the cost of the gala.
But we're not a for-profit locality. I don't, but we are nonprofit local government. So I don't see how that doesn't jive with me. Like that doesn't seem right for me. Like it doesn't seem like it should have been about selling the tickets in order to offset the cost, because if we're using like taxpayer money to put this event on to give back to our taxpayers, why would we use taxpayer money to entertain them in the celebration, but then charge them to be a part of it? It doesn't make sense to me that we would have even been charging our taxpayers to come and partake in an event where we're celebrating with them the history of our town. So I don't see why we would have been charging them for the tickets anyway. You see what I'm saying? That to me, that doesn't feel right, that we would have even been charging them for it. I think that it should have been a free event for our taxpayers, because it's our taxpayers' dollars that's funding this event. But so that's what you're saying. You're saying that because when you walked into this with the $100,000, you were anticipating the $30,000 coming back off of the sale of the tickets, and that's why it came up short like that. And so, did we just realize this week that we were going to be $30,000 short? Because I mean, we just now starting to talk about this in the 11th hour, so that means we're almost obligated at this point in order to make this work, because it's Tuesday and the event is Friday. Did we just realize we were going to come up short?
The menu and all of those items were picked previous to me. That part was set. The venue was set. It was already contracted. The menu was already set and contracted, that this is what they were getting and this is the amount of people that we were going to have. It was a point, there was 500 being spoke about, and I was like, no, I know we could at least do 350 for sure. So we did scale back from 500 to 350. But yeah, all of that was it was chosen and ready to, you know, to rock and roll. That's what Kenya Gatz and her team at the Marine Corps Museum had all that, and you know, that's what they were rolling with.
So I want to make sure I'm understanding. So you're saying that by the time you got on board, the menu was already chosen. So how did we end up with a $40,000 menu? And I'm asking this question now to the mayor and the town manager, because if that preceded you, Mayor, as the liaison who served working with the committee, because council wasn't involved with this. We had the mayor, you worked with the committee. At what point then did it appear that did it ever occur then to someone that $40,000 was a lot for a menu? I mean, we're a local government, a public local government, and that just seems like a lot. And I feel like we probably could have done a little bit better with that.
Yeah, I can say from the standpoint, when I got on and this went in, they looked at a cost of about $50 or $60 a plate. They were going to sell tickets for $100, like she said. It was gonna be for the program book, it was gonna be for ads, and that was the original intent when all this started. I don't think nobody's seen the contract since the previous clerk or civic engagement and then was working on it before until town manager, when did the contract and the final numbers come in?
So in full disclosure, I haven't found a contract or a proposal for the food.
Yeah.
I have an email from the previous director of civic, to the previous director of civic engagement from a member of the committee, which identifies what the committee has agreed to for the food. I didn't receive the official document until I think May 1st. And that's when I had the old crap, look, this is a $38,000 bill for food. And the contract basically said we could not change it because it was 7 days before the event.
And let me ask a question, was the mayor on that email? Did I see that contract or did I see those numbers?
Yes, you were on the email.
I'm on it.
Yes, you're on it, but it did not have a total. It has the menu.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's one of
But when I look at the menu, if it's a menu of braised ribs and salmon and stuff like that, I just kind of feel like,
And neither one of them I eat. I'm allergic to salmon and I don't.
you're a chef, you know, braised ribs. I mean, you know what food was.
Yeah, I didn't pick it.
Yeah, I understand that. I just kind of feel like, this got out of hand somewhere. And for the people who were involved so closely, it didn't have to come to 3 days before the event. We shouldn't have been in this position 3 days before the event. Now we're looking at a $28,000 deficit, and now we have to make a decision. Like, what are our options here? Now it's Tuesday, the event is Friday. And so what do we do? And it shouldn't be today that we're trying to figure out, how do we make this work in this 11th hour? This should have been realized before now by the person who has been integral in getting us to this point. And from where I sit, the person who has been integral in this process is Ms. Watson and Mr. Mayor. And how did we get here without realizing that we were scope creeping to the tune of almost $30,000? I don't understand this, and I'm very disappointed that we're in this position right now, because this is fiscally irresponsible to be right here, especially when a few weeks ago we nitpicked over and did not have full council support on a recreation center and department and budget for what would bring our community residual benefit. A recreation department, a recreation center, recreation staff brings our community and the surrounding area residual benefit. And we didn't even have full council support for that, but we getting ready to blow an additional $30,000 on a party. And I can't, this is disappointing to me. This to me is fiscally irresponsible. This is what fiscal irresponsibility looks like. And we have council, like I said, nitpick over stuff that's more important than this. And this is this is a personal party right here. This is embarrassing for me. I yield.
All right. Councilman Brown.
Okay, so I got information late again. And my understanding, it was already planned to sell tickets. And this is probably before Ms. Watson came on board. So that's not Ms. Watson issue. The 38,940 was planned, and I don't know who else on the council knew that this was planned and to sell tickets. But the question that came to me is, we're not selling enough tickets, what do we want to do? Had I known about the 38K at that point, I would have said, sell the tickets. But I was not aware of the 38K cost. So I'm like, okay, we'll just let the citizens come for free. That's the piece that I missed. So when we're talking about a 100K budget, if we anticipated prior to even going into this contract that we was going to recoup that 3,800, we wouldn't be sitting at 128K right now. I don't know who made that decision. It wasn't me. I don't know who on this dais knew about this decision. But had we had that information, this would be a different discussion. We would have been at the 100K mark right now.
The tickets aren't selling.
Someone made the decision to sell tickets prior to Ms. Watson coming on board. That's what I'm saying. Who made that decision? And who signed off on the 38K for the food? The mayor, did you sign off on that?
No, she said there's no signed contract.
So again, the decision to order the food was done before I received the contract. At 7 days before the event, I had no choice but to approve it. No choice. There's no cancellation. We couldn't change the menu. So I had to approve it, and I approved it the same day that I spoke to each of you.
I'm not talking
Yes,
about the approval piece right now.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
talking about the decision to sell the tickets to recoup this 3,800. That's where the problem came in at. If we had decided from day one that we're not going to sell tickets, then that $38,000 would be taken from the 100,000. So we're working with $62,000 for this 3-day weekend. That piece was the missing piece here. And that's why we're over budget right now, because of that particular transaction.
No, this is not about the ticket sales.
If I may, in regards to the communication that I had to council, the $38,000 food came in on May 5th. I don't think anybody, from what I could find, was aware that the menu was going to cost $38,000. In full honesty, I have a selection of a menu for 350 people. My understanding was everything was taken care of. When I gave y'all initial estimate of our spending, which was around $30,000 to $40,000, we was tracking. When I got this bill is when I sent the email, said put spending on hold because we are creeping well above the 100,000, which was my authority that council had given me to approve. So I explained to y'all, I got this, I can't cancel it, I can't change it. Cause I said to Ms. Watson, go back, let's change it. Everybody gets chicken, just so we can bring the bill down. We had no option but to approve because they already started purchasing. So, and I'll sit here and say I wasn't part of the decision as the menu and everything else.
Kim, that whole question wasn't about you. It's about someone between us and whoever was starting this project determined that we was going to recoup the funding there. And I'm saying, I don't know who made that decision, then came back and said, okay, we're not going to be able to make those sales. What are we going to do right now? Somebody made that decision. Since no one of the guys knew who made that decision.
But let me say this,
So that's the only point I'm trying to make. This is not a surprise if someone had intended to recoup this cost by selling tickets for $100, but that's what I thought the tickets were, $100. So someone made that decision. I don't know if that was you, Ms. Watson? Or someone on the celebration, the project team. I don't know who made that decision, but someone made that decision.
so I don't even know if it was a decision to not sell. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. The original intent, when we came through from the first time, was to sell tickets, and not only sell tickets, but also to have sponsorships in the book. It was a whole presentation that was made from the first meeting when Miss the young lady came up and gave the first presentation. All of that was in that initial presentation, sell tickets, to go out and get sponsorship and to have all of that type of working through. All right, so we can go back and forth on this for the next 30, 45 minutes. Town manager, do you have any solutions or any options for us going forward? What are the options on the table?
Okay, so during our meeting, what I proposed was doing away with activities for Sunday, having the vendors come in, still do, have their food vendors come out with food trucks, still have that and some music on Sunday. I thought eliminating Sunday would reduce some of the costs where we got vendors that's going to participate for multiple days. And I also I also propose taking $10,000 away from the fireworks. I know that is something that majority of y'all did not agree to, but I want to make sure in full transparency, if y'all approve what is in front of y'all, the ask is not for 128,000. The ask is for $133,302 because it's an additional $5,000 for Marcus Johnson, which has not been approved as of date. So I just want to make sure y'all understand that as well. $133,302. And that's what will need to be approved in order to take care of everything that's on this budget by day to have the activities go from Friday through Sunday. But y'all can most definitely, I want to give you one more thing. I've authorized the release of payments for a few things. That's the section sheet that y'all have. Because some of these things had to be paid ahead of time. So we've authorized 74,000 already, almost 75,000 in payments. And majority of it is things that's happening from Friday, the swag and things like that. But yeah. So I just wanted to make sure you had all the information as y'all making your decision.
All right. And what were your, okay, I'll go back to the question. I'll go on Chair Pro Tem, Councilman Pete, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, thank you. I can say that we've been advertising for a while that it's going to be a 3-day event. So I feel that this late in the game, we can't say we're not going to do Sunday. We have to have something going on Sunday. But what I will say is I am unhappy to get this news because I feel that even if there was a consideration that tickets were going to sell, when tickets weren't selling, it seems like we should have been getting, when we were getting reports on how things were going, we should have been saying, okay, we might have a deficiency here. At that point, we might have been able to say, okay, maybe we'll scale back Sunday. Maybe we'll have chicken instead of it or whatever. But 3 days before, we really can't do that because we've been telling the citizens this is what we're going to do. So I feel like our hands are tied. So I do have one question. Marcus, is he performing all day? How long is he performing?
He performs an hour set.
So what?
A 1 hour set. Yeah. But just like he did the last time he came to the office.
I don't know that I'm comfortable paying $5,000 for one. Can he go any longer?
I don't know. I mean, I doubt it. Not for that rate. No. I'm gonna say no. The answer is no. Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, like again, I don't like the situation. I mean, we'll have to take into account moving forward because finding out in the 11th hour, we over budget by $35,000. And we either want to pay it or we want to let the citizens down and we're going to look unfavorably because of what we've advertised. And I just don't see how nobody saw that this was going to be a shortfall. But with that, I'll yield back.
Councilman Pete.
Oh, 1 hour for entertainment. I don't believe that's been done by the town before.
We can pull up the contracts for Crush Funk Band. Every single band that's performed in town has performed for an hour. So you go back to your Parks and Recs contract.
Yeah, but not for 5,000.
How much do you think Marcus Johnson charged us last time?
I'm not for sure of that right off the top of my hand. I don't believe
it was exactly 5,000.
I don't believe it was 5,000. Well, in that case, then is it Sunday Mother's Day?
It's always been Mother's. Yes.
Sunday's not always Mother's Day. This Sunday's coming up is Mother's Day. I'm gonna put a recommendation out there, guys. I'm gonna recommend that we scratch Sunday's event.
Okay, this is what you know, buddy.
So I have a question. If we were to scratch Sunday, what savings would that be to scratch Sunday?
Ms. Bonta, I know we had discussed how much savings it would be. Do you have the number already?
Yeah, because, well, what we have to do is sound and photography have to submit a new quote, because now they're no longer across multiple days. And so sound, I'm not sure how much exact savings that would give us, maybe a couple thousand.
It wouldn't make a difference. It
Not
wouldn't
like
bring it under budget though, right?
Yeah, not like
Right.
not like that. If we're so the plan that after I spoke to town manager, my plan was to, if we were to scratch all the things in terms of because food trucks, we're not paying for them. They're paying us to be here, you know.
Right,
So
right.
we would then not have the stage on Sunday. The showmobile would go away. And we would still have some sound. And then Rick has volunteered to DJ and just, play music during the day, because I still want people to come, because now it's about the small businesses and vendors that, want to come out, and they already are planned to come out. I made it very clear to them, if you come 1 day or 2 days, you're still paying $100 to be at our event. So some of them have accepted that in their own way, but most of them do plan to be here. They're excited about it. So we still wanted to at least have a presence on Sunday. And then ambiance dance, they're gonna come and dance and do a Mother's Day, presentation for the mothers from their dance group, but they're not a charge anyway.
So my question was, scrapping Sunday would not make up the deficit.
Not like that. Mm-mm.
And it wouldn't make a significant dent.
Fireworks and reducing some of the other things that don't go on for 3 days.
It would be too significant. The deficit is too significant to cut back at this point.
Because the weight is on the other side, and not necessarily Sunday.
Right. And so that's what makes this even bigger of an issue. And I wanted to also respond to Pro Tem's concern about how it looks to pull back on what we promised the citizens. I'm more concerned with how it looks to recklessly spend or be $35,000 over budget for entertainment purposes, honestly. Pulling back on something that we said we would do to only find out that it's not as fiscally responsible to do it. I think I would rather the pie in the face for saying it wasn't the best spending of the dollars, and so that's why we had to pull back. However, it doesn't sound like we can pull back without ruining the entire weekend. And that's the sad part. So, it sounds like we're stuck. Again, that seems to be the theme for the night.
No, we're not stuck with Mr. Johnson, because that contract isn't approved. And then my question to you, out of fairness to the town manager, is there a process that we have in place as to where when we do events like this, that you get this type of stuff maybe a week before or 2 weeks before, something like that? Because for someone to maybe
Okay, so in regards to the town staff, there's a process in place. They receive their quotes, their estimates. If there's something that needs to be approved or vetted, we send it to the town attorney. It comes to me with that final signature. In regards to this process, I can tell each of you that this has been very chaotic coming to me. I've received numerous emails. I'm going back to our event planner. This is $6,000, provide me additional estimates. Sometimes I got them, sometimes I didn't. If I didn't get the additional estimates, I denied it because, I have to answer to an auditor and I have to answer to the council, and trying to document and keep up with all the things that has occurred was really chaotic. And the extent of my authority, when we got to being over budget, I sent them an email saying, stop the spending, stop getting quotes. We need to get together and see what's going on. And it just spiraled out of control. And I tried to see if I could, within my means, decrease some of these prices, and it just was no way. So I figured we come back to the council, have a discussion and see what you guys want to do.
Can we keep those fireworks for those children? Because when that statement was made this evening, I watched the children that was in there. It was like some.
That is, I have not denied the fireworks. I haven't removed anything on here. The only thing I have not agreed to as of this moment is the Marcus Johnson.
So instead of Marcus Johnson, will we be able to provide a DJ instead of?
I believe we had Branco for Sunday, or a funk band.
Wait a minute.
Crush Funk.
Crush Funk band for Sunday. So there is a band on Sunday as well.
Say again?
Oh, sorry. If we have the band, we don't need Marcus, right?
We add entertainment. You know.
So the band, West Front Band, how long are they playing?
They're playing earlier in the day. They're not, Marcus was always slated to be a headliner. The vision for Marcus Johnson was to, on Mother's Day, kind of a Mother's Day gift situation, but also headlining because of his name, to that people would come and hear him. And that was the whole vision around having the Marcus Johnson.
Ms. Watson, 3,400 is for the Crush Funk Band, and they're gonna play early in the day for how long?
They're playing for an hour and a half.
So, okay, and so at the end of the event, we won't have a closeout. We'll just be listening to the DJ. Is that what I'm hearing?
If we don't get
Okay.
Marcus Johnson, then yes.
All right, so we're talking $3,400 and $5,000. So I do understand that there's a disconnect with the person, the actual artist. And I understand from this dais that doesn't matter to them. So if that is the case, then we're scratching Marcus Johnson based upon $1,200 difference. And if you know music, you know that Marcus Johnson is not a Crush Funk man. So here's the deal. We're talking about bringing and driving people to the town of Dumfries. That's what we're talking about doing. So if we're gonna do this right and do it right, I think we ought to put some emphasis on who we bring so people can come in from the town come to the town of Dumfries. Marcus Johnson is a different name. So if you say Marcus Johnson anywhere around the county, even around the state, they know who he is. Again, driving people to this event. We just need to get this jump started. I believe this is just Tyrone Brown's opinion. We're trying to market an event to celebrate the town of Dumfries and also market what we can bring to the community so people can want to come back. Now, we're over budget and that's crazy. And I agree with the Vice Mayor. That's a lot of money. That's 30K. Got it. We're not going to get the same event on Sunday without having that closeout artist. We're going to get close, and that could be acceptable for the guys.
I'll go raise the money. I'll go get the 5,000 to pay the artist. I'll come up with the money.
Well, sir, you wasn't able to get the tickets, so I mean, but
It wasn't my responsibility to get the
but you
tickets.
were the only
It
one
wasn't-
who was working on selling the tickets. This was almost like
It was a town event. Why was
But-
I the only one? What do you mean I was the only one?
because you wasn't, the rest of the council wasn't involved in it. The only time it was even brought to the rest of the council was after Tanisha stood up here and said to me, there's only been 12 tickets sold. And I was like, well, who you working with? Because nothing was shared with the rest of the council. The rest of the council was not involved. This was you were the one who was liaisoning, working with the committee, doing everything else. The rest of the council was not involved. You were the one who was doing all of it. And at that point, because no one else was involved, you were the one that was managing all of it. So, If at that point, because there was only 12 tickets sold and there was no endorsements or whatever it is that you was working on to try and recoup that, however that was supposed to work. I mean, but if you can raise the 5,000 now, how did we end up in this position in the first place?
There has been a presentation every month about what's going on. This wasn't a mayor would promote and sponsor the event. This is a town.
Like it.
200, yeah, right. This is a town 275. The event was given every week. She stood up there and said, y'all go out, promote, y'all go out and talk about it. Nobody else nobody said to y'all, go out and promote. I think at one point, 45 days ago, sent an email saying, hey, here's where we're at. Here's the information. Let me know what's going on. And no, not one response. I had a conversation with Councilman P. He said, yeah, make sure you send it out there. But sent it out. Nobody responded. So this was us celebrating 275 years. Every single month. Did you come up here every single month and gave everybody the same information to get out and to promote? So this wasn't a Mayor Wood event.
You say 45 days ago, I say less than a month from when the event started. Pull up your email and look at the date. But we don't have to go back and forth with that because it's irrelevant at this point. The other part of it is with regard to whether it's Marcus Johnson or somebody else, we're not promoters. I'm not interested in whether or not we can bring the big name in today so that we can bring more people back tomorrow. Honestly, I'm not interested in that because yes, we want to bring people to the town of Dumfries because we're Destination Dumfries. But am I interested in doing that at the tune of $5,000 per hour to bring this big name here? No. Because that's not what it's about.
Mayor, if I may.
Mr. Pete.
Town manager, hearing everything right here, trying to sum this up, right? I'm not for sure if we have or not, but tracking my PNR recreational numbers, do we have any funding left over from PNR to help offset this cost?
Yes, we do.
There's our answer, I guess.
So are you making a motion, Mr. Pete? Mr. Pete? Are you making a motion?
Yes, ma'am. At the time, I didn't make a motion. If council wants to move forward with moving the existing some of the remaining funds for that was allotted for park and recreations or recreational to move it over to so we can offset the cost of this, then I will support that so we can get this moving forward.
Question. I need to know what amount. That's in your motion, whatever way y'all go. I need to know if it's 128 or 133, so I know what I'm signing off on starting tomorrow. That's what I need. So
I have another question. I'm sorry, you didn't recognize me. So just, okay, is this the final?
Did anybody second this motion?
No, it wasn't a motion.
Oh, it wasn't a motion. Okay, go ahead, Chair Pro Tem.
I'm sorry, if I kind of jumped out there. Is this the final number? Do we expect an additional bill to roll in here for a different amount? Okay, so, all right. I would just say, quite frankly, just quite candidly, I personally don't even feel like looking for another band to come in on Sunday to be the closer. At this point, let's just approve it for what is it, $34,000?
33.
134,000, 302. And we'll do a lessons learned and we'll do better next time because at this point, the event is the event.
Is that your motion?
Oh, yeah.
Second. Was that
So-
a motion?
Oh, no. So
I'm sorry, what line are we bringing from? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I do have a question. Is the council directed me to enter into this agreement with Marcus Johnson? Because as of date, I have disapproved it.
Yeah. And what line item are we taking this out of?
It is coming out of line item says Destination Dumfries. It is in the recreation and civic engagement budget.
Okay, what's the total amount? 34,000?
Additional, just say additional 35,000 and leave it at that.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to take an additional $35,000 from Destination Dumfries and add it to the 275th budget.
Second.
I need the second part of your motion, ma'am, and direct the town manager to into an agreement with Marcus
Okay, yes,
Johnson.
and direct the town manager to enter an agreement with Marcus Johnson.
Second the motion.
Can you repeat it for us, town clerk, and then we'll go to discussion.
The motion made by Chair Pro Tem Miles is to add the $35,000 from Destination Dumfries and add it to the 275th celebration and direct the town manager to enter into an agreement with Marcus Johnson.
Okay, Councilman Brown. You had a question? Who had discussion? I thought I heard something. Okay. Any discussion on the motion on the floor? Okay, no discussion. Madam Clerk, call for a question.
Councilwoman Peterson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pete,
Yes.
Councilmember Fields,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Miles.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nickerson,
No.
Mayor Wood,
Yes.
motion's approved.
All right, next on the agenda is the closed session. The Town Council of Dumfries desires to go into closed session, meeting pursuant to 2.2-3711 Alpha 1, the Code of Virginia, to discuss and consider personnel matters, including the assignment and performance of specific public officers and appointees. On a motion made by myself,
Second.
second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call for the question.
Councilmember Peterson.
Aye.
Councilmember Pete,
Yes.
Councilmember Fields,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Miles.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Wood.
Yes.
Motion's passed. We are now in closed session.
All right, we will convene immediately. All right, whereas the Town Council of Dumfries has convened in closed section, based on the vote that we went in, we certified that the only items heard, discussed, or considered in closed session were the items as we identified by the resolution in which we went in. We were permitted to do so according to Virginia Code 2.2-3712. Which numbers, Alpha and Charlie? 3712. Let me get back there to see what my numbers were. Alpha and 1. I certified that that's all we talked about. That's my motion.
Second.
It's been second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the question.
Councilmember Peterson. Aye. Councilmember Pete.
Yes.
Councilmember Fields.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Miles.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nickerson. Yes, ma'am. Mayor Wood.
Yes.
We're now back in open session.
All right. This meeting is adjourned.